The grand city of Aldea basked in a delightfully rare picture-perfect morning. Or did it? Boom. A fiery redhead shattered that peace, proudly declaring she finally hunted down our hero. Snatching his arm without a second thought, she demanded an instant getaway, relentlessly nagging him to pick up the pace. Utterly drained by her chaotic energy, Kai unleashed a soul-crushing sigh. Soon after, inside a booming tavern, history tragically repeated itself all over again. Enter heroine number 2. A mysterious beauty in a blue cloak cornered him, whispering that her hunt was over as well. Dripping with aristocratic charm, she purred an irresistible invitation to join her back at her private estate. Hitting his absolute limit with these romantic comedy cliches, Kai inhaled deeply. He instantly rejected her, citing a packed schedule, leaving the blonde utterly stunned. Latching onto his arm like an adorable koala, she whined, demanding to know why her perfectly clear schedule was being ignored. Weaponizing her ultimate puppy dog eyes, she tearfully begged him for a literal playdate. Brain totally short-circuiting, our doomed hero questioned what cosmic joke brought him to this harem hell. To unravel this epic disaster, we must rewind to a cursed pitch-black forest. There, 2 low-level mob bandits first dragged his pathetic soul into this nightmare. Sweating bullets, Kai instantly played the obedient lackey. Before snoring away, the thugs forced him on guard duty, fiercely hyping up their insanely profitable human kargage. Barking one last order, the boss threatened that if the hostages even squeaked, Kai better smack them into absolute silence. But internally, Kai scoffed. Those poor prisoners barely possessed the life force to breathe, let alone scream. Swallowed by the pitch-black night, he marveled at the absolute sheer absurdity of his current reality. Clutching his hair in total despair, his brain desperately scrambled to pinpoint exactly where fate derailed so spectacularly. Then the classic isekai flashback hit. He recalled playing the hero in real life only to get instantly pulverized by a massive truck. Miraculously surviving, he had rebooted into this bizarre fantasy dimension. Staring up at the unfamiliar stars, the horrific reality of the situation slowly clicked. This universe was undeniably way too familiar. Connecting the dots, panic spiked as Kai realized he was trapped inside the exact role-playing game he grinded just yesterday. Hovering near the scummy bandit camp, a crushing dread washed over him. He had officially respawned on the villain side. Ice flowed through his veins while he cursed his absolute garbage luck. Suddenly, a faint rattle from the nearby wagon hijacked his senses. Creeping closer, his boots locked in place. Hidden inside a rusted iron cage sat 3 delicate maidens swallowed by the gloom. Tapping into his gamer wiki brain, Kai remembered the brutal lore. Every single bad guy in this prologue event gets gloriously slaughtered. Hanging with this mob meant a one-way ticket to the graveyard. Ditching them was the only strategic play. Looting his own pockets, he scored a wrinkled map and just enough gold coins to somehow survive the harsh road. Scanning the escape routes, he confidently bet that a stealthy ghosting mission would be a total cakewalk. Yet his stupid conscience forced him to glance back one last time. Moving with ninja-like silence, he cracked open the heavy iron bars. Dropping his voice to an intense whisper, he urged the trembling captives to break out together. 3 terrified pairs of eyes locked onto him, with one girl looking dangerously close to a game over. Radiating intense hostility, the fiery redhead fiercely questioned his sudden heroic act. Shooting daggers with her eyes, she ruthlessly accused him of setting up a twisted, sadistic trap. The silver-haired beauty mirrored her icy tone, demanding a rock-solid reason to trust their literal kidnapper after all the trauma. Kai choked on his words, his brain going into overdrive to invent a flawless alibi. Smelling blood in the water, the fiery redhead mocked his hesitation, officially declaring his pathetic scam a massive failure. Improvising like a madman, Kai dropped a legendary bluff. He claimed he was an undercover agent, bowing deeply in apology for his delayed rescue mission. Spitting such magnificent, shameless garbage burned his soul, but securing their absolute faith was the ultimate survival quest right now. Cranking up the urgency, he warned that if his cover blew, it was game over for everyone. Plot twist: the feisty redhead shattered his hopes, revealing a crippled leg that made sprinting mathematically impossible. To top it off, the elegant platinum blonde tragically admitted she could not see a single thing. Adding a cherry to this disaster cake, little Remy lay unconscious and burning with fever. Utterly defeated, the redhead muttered that fleeing just meant choosing a much slower death. Flashing a heartbreaking smile, she confessed that simply knowing he was not a monster was comfort enough for her. That pure, undeniable despair struck his heart like a sledgehammer. Suddenly, the sickly blonde toddler whimpered, extending a violently shaking hand. With a voice breaking like glass, she weakly sobbed, begging for a desperate miracle. Something primal snapped inside Kai. His eyes burned with raw determination as he clenched his fists, swearing to defy fate and save them all. Vowing to become their human shield and carriage, he roared that running into the unknown beat, rotting away in this pathetic cage any day. Shocked by his audacity, the girl screamed, "Are you totally out of your mind?" Gripping the map, Kai flashed a confident smirk and declared, "Relax, I know this entire zone completely. We're safe. His gamer instincts firing, he commanded the duo to hold on tightly for their dear lives. Scooping up the trio, he bolted into the pitch-black woods. Holy crap, this overpowered avatar had absolutely insane stamina compared to his scrawny past self. The sheer physical strength of this new body was totally mind-blowing to him. Pushing those crazy thoughts away, he focused entirely on survival. Zero enemy aggro so far, fantastic. He kept blitzing straight through the dark shadows. Mid-sprint, he cross-referenced the stolen map. Boom, the city of Aldea sat exactly where he had custom-named it back in his gaming days. Seeing his own world-building right there felt incredibly surreal to him. That nostalgic little detail completely skyrocketed his confidence. Maintaining his crazy speed, he perfectly navigated the secret route until a cleverly disguised treehouse finally appeared. He mentally threw a massive victory party for their stealth escape. Sensing safety, the blind girl softly questioned the exact location of their new sanctuary. Flashing a proud grin, Kai bragged all about his ultimate custom-built secret base from his past gaming days. Facing the glowing rune door, he scrambled to recall the passcode. Hold on a second, he muttered softly, stepping right up to the heavy magic entrance. Pressing his palm against the seal, he confidently entered his highly embarrassing old gamer password without hesitation. Bingo. The magical entrance suddenly flared with neon blue energy sliding open to reveal their long-awaited sanctuary. Inside, he secretly sweated bullets. Wow, I cannot believe this crazy place actually spawned in reality. He immediately unpacked. The girl suspiciously noted that hiding a deluxe treehouse out in this dangerous wasteland was completely absurd. Kai mentally agreed entirely but casually played it cool. It is just a basic shack. The redhead frantically checked on Remy's status, instantly plunging the entire room into a truly suffocating and painfully heavy silence. Kai suddenly remembered his legendary hidden loot stash. Right on cue, a terribly weak voice broke the silence, begging him for some kind of food. Popping open a dusty chest, Kai grumbled under his breath, hunting for decent recovery items. Jackpot. The inventory system functioned perfectly, displaying neat rows of beautifully preserved top-tier magical health potions. He happily brandished the meds, but the redhead snapped fiercely. Are you totally nuts? A trash-tier healing potion will never save someone suffering in such an incredibly weakened and fragile state. Unfazed Kai tossed over an ominously glowing purple flask. Shrugging casually, he smirked with total confidence. That is no common garbage. It will absolutely work miracles. The redhead's jaw literally dropped at its glowing aura. Kai chuckled inwardly. His hardcore gamer self never hoarded anything but godly mythical loot, meaning this rare item was definitely an absolute game-changer. Back then, this legendary miracle juice instantly cured any lethal wound or poison. Crafting it was an absolute nightmare. Holding the legendary liquid, both girls remained completely paralyzed by pure, unadulterated shock and awe. Kai casually recalled having over 100 of these mythical bad boys chilling in storage. Ka-ching! He was practically a walking goldmine. Trembling with absolute disbelief, the redhead fiercely gasped. Just who on earth are you to actually own something so incredibly rare and valuable? Kai just sighed dramatically, barely suppressing an incredibly smug, overpowered anime grin. Deadpan, he sternly warned them to drop the subject for their own good. Then he bossily ordered the other two stunned girls to quickly chug down their own magical potions as well. Turning his back, he joked, "My spine absolutely cannot handle carrying 3 heavy people around anymore." Even then, the platinum blonde practically hyperventilated, unable to believe a legendary universal elixir was sitting right there in her hands. Kai shoved another bottle into her hands, confirming he had one for her too. One sip and the blind girl gasped as miraculous healing energy flooded her entire being, utterly shattering her disbelief. Standing over the bed, Kai commended the little blonde's insane endurance before carefully feeding her the ultimate elixir. Drop by drop, the neon liquid vanished down her throat. Boom! A blinding aura erupted from her fragile form, signaling a massive, incredibly successful heal that completely chased the shadows away. Blown away by this instant-cast healing magic, Kai finally exhaled a massive sigh of relief. Fluttering her eyes open, little Remy whispered a shaky, deeply tearful thank you to him. Softening his voice, he gently warned her to keep sleeping. Potions fix physical health points, but never your deep mental fatigue. As the dazzling holy light finally faded away, Kai gathered his empty loot bottles and turned around to face the others. Talk about overpowered. Both the redhead and the platinum blonde were fully recovered and standing tall again. Eyeing the prophetess, Kai's inner capitalist awoke shamelessly daydreaming about the astronomical quest rewards he would definitely demand from their kingdom. His greed vanished instantly as both girls bawled their eyes out, completely overwhelmed by the miracle of restored vision and physical mobility. Scratching his cheek, he mumbled about having zero clue how long they had endured such a living nightmare. Being decent, he stepped back, letting them process the absolute miracle they just witnessed. Fast forward to the next morning, the chaos settled, and Kai discovered these poor girls were snatched all the way from Alia City. Wait, that is over 2 whole cities away. Rubbing his neck, he confessed that dragging them all home was going to be an epic trek. Fuming, the fiery redhead snapped that he should go whine to his bandit buddies, considering this total disaster was their garbage doing anyway. Massively stressed, Kai desperately asked if anyone secretly possessed a quick teleportation spell. She shot him a glare, snapping that if they had warp magic they would have bailed ages ago. Sweating buckets, Kai awkwardly chuckled. Yep, her brutal logic was completely and totally bulletproof. Sneaking a peek at his own system window, he inwardly cried over possessing such a trash-tier hunter. Goodbye overpowered max-level stats. Hello, completely useless and painfully average garbage stats. Glancing over the map, the platinum blonde dropped a lore bomb. Apparently, throughout recorded history, only a single legendary figure ever mastered teleportation. Swallowing his massive disappointment, Kai swiftly changed the subject. Turning to the party, he nervously asked about their current health points. Flashing a totally angelic smile, the blonde thanked him, whispering that she was still processing the absolute shock of regaining her eyesight. Blushing furiously, the tsundere redhead mumbled that her leg was already completely healed. She actually squeezed out a genuine quiet thank you. But instantly flipping back to tsundere mode, she barked at him to drop the casual tone, proudly introducing herself as Lady Karen. Catching the vibe, the sweet platinum blonde introduced herself as Nina. They also double-checked that the snoring little kid was definitely named Remy. Waterfalls of nervous sweat dripped down Kai's face. His brain was totally short-circuiting, trying to memorize all these random fantasy non-player character names. He locked in. He announced their main quest, figuring out how to safely escort this entire trio back to their home base. Gaining her sassy confidence back, Karen asked if he was playing their heroic bodyguard. Kai ruthlessly shattered that trope bluntly, stating he could not guarantee squat. Completely stunned by his icy reality check, Karen exploded, demanding why he would ever drop such a depressing line. Dropping the comedy act, Kai stared her down. In a real deathmatch, plot armor does not guarantee a victory. Deep in his gamer soul, he knew the terrifying truth. This was reality, not some virtual playground. Having read the literal walkthrough of this world, his golden rule was simple. Dodge life-threatening boss fights at absolutely all costs. Hammering the brutal truth home, he reminded the girls they had zero radar on enemy numbers or their hidden power levels out there. If they actually wanted to keep breathing, their ultimate survival tactic was ghosting trouble completely. Newsflash, nobody here gets a respawn point. Once that health bar hits zero, it is a permanent game over for everyone. Eyes burning with determination, he swore to burn his own brain cells, finding a pacifist route to sneak them all into the safe zone. Karen, blunt as a hammer, demanded to know if he secretly possessed some genius master plan. Chuckling nervously, Kai confessed his brain was freezing up under her insanely intense boss-level glaring. Pinned down by her fiercely judgmental eyes, a massive cold sweat broke out as he desperately tried keeping his cool. Rebooting his panicked brain, he strategized that those scumbag kidnappers were definitely camping outside Ware City waiting to ambush them. Tapping the map, he explained the bandits' predictable logic. They would blindly assume our hero sprinted toward the closest safe town. To totally juke them, their best play was trekking south through the monster woods, hitting a neutral camp, and renting a secure carriage. Karen crossed her arms, instantly poking a giant hole in his plan. They were completely flat broke. Smirking, Kai patted his magically stuffed loot bag. He had totally robbed the bandits blind, securing enough shiny coins for a complete wardrobe upgrade. Struck right in the feels, Nena softly questioned why he was going to such crazy lengths for them. She nailed the plot hole. He casually chugged legendary mythic tier elixirs and leaked heavily classified intel like a total rookie. Hit by her terrifyingly flawless logic, Kai started buffering like crazy. His excuse generator completely crashed. Cornered, he shamelessly doubled down on his absolute nonsense. Slapping on his best poker face, he boldly claimed he was merely a humble shadow agent executing top-secret orders from headquarters. Talk about perfect comedic timing, the tiny blonde kid finally wriggled awake on the dusty mattress. Catching the movement, he playfully asked if Sleeping Beauty was logging in. Yawning massively little, Remy grumbled that she was up, but her internal clock felt seriously laggy. Dodging the interrogation, Kai forcefully stretched his arms. He pitched a sunset river bath to wash off the dungeon grime, but Nena totally carried cheerfully, revealing she had maxed out purification magic ready. Ever the pragmatist, Kai tosses the spell duty to the girls. He then sneaks off for a solo river bath. Karen's eyes narrow with instant suspicion. A top-tier secret agent who cannot even use basic cleaning magic, totally sketchy. Sweating bullets over his blown cover, he quickly spouts some nonsense about magic drawing unwanted enemy aggro. Moments later, the ladies sparkle after a quick burst of purification magic indoors. Meanwhile, our fake agent sighs in absolute bliss inside the warm river water. Freshly scrubbed, the entire party finally bonds over a cozy campfire feast. Time to move. Kai gears up, locking himself inside a jet black head-to-toe suit of heavy armor. Stepping up like a true raid leader, he rallies the squad for the final stretch. Fast forward 1 week. Aldea City's main gate is pure chaos. Guards scramble everywhere under a blaring red alert. Suddenly, the tension breaks. The VIP party strolls right up to the front gates, safe and completely sound. Recognizing the three high-status ladies, a guard nearly collapses in tears. Seeing them breathing is an absolute miracle. Karen points a thumb at Kai. She gives all the glory to her giant armored escort. The guard drops into a perfect 90-degree bow. He practically worships the knight for this legendary carry. He quickly ushers the noble ladies inside, begging them to wait for a royal escort. Nina tilts her head curiously, asking about his very next move. Channeling maximum edge through his helmet, he gruffly declares he will just chill locally. Karen, totally unfiltered as usual, instantly grills him on his exact itinerary. But the guard interrupts. He assumes this elite warrior needs to debrief high command immediately. Riding the hilarious misunderstanding, Kai just nods. He keeps the bluff going to dodge any annoying interrogations. The soldier practically begs him to claim a fat reward, but Kai shuts it down, playing the busy lone wolf. The hilarious truth: under that terrifying helmet, our guy's social battery is dead. He just wants to violently faceplant into a mattress. Before vanishing, he drops a cool one-liner, telling the girls to stay frosty until they are safely tucked in bed. Karen flashes a grateful grin, thanking him for the legendary carry. In a surprisingly soft move, the Dark Knight gently head-pats Remy before his final goodbye. The tiny blonde turns bright red, offering the cutest, shyest little nod in return. Handoff complete, he spins on his heel and strides off into the sunset like an absolute boss. The desperate guard reaches out to stop him, but the Black Knight instantly blocks the attempt. Not even looking back, he vows to melt into the city shadows. The captain gives a deep, awestruck salute to the mystery man. The jet-black edgelord fades into the bustling crowd, leaving the entire guard squad absolutely paralyzed. Staring into the distance, the captain's jaw hits the floor. That guy was not just built different. Sweating literal buckets, the captain trembles. He whispers that the Dark Knight is an absolute god-tier monster. The grand reveal: he secretly used his appraisal skill, spotting an impossibly high-rank artifact on the guy's body. The punchline: that crazy loot only drops from a nightmare dungeon conquered by exactly 2 elite guilds in history. Putting the crazy puzzle pieces together, the captain realizes this solo madman completely wiped out the dreaded Red Freed Mafia. He practically speed-ran a triple hostage rescue without a single scratch, moving like an undetectable phantom. The misunderstanding peaks. The captain is now 100% certain he just met a mythical top-ranker. A clueless rookie accidentally ruins the vibe. He whines about letting an unchecked stranger walk right in. The captain bites his head off, barking at the newbie for daring to treat a savior like a common crook. Death glaring at the kid, he warns that pissing off the guy who saved the region's holy trinity equals instant doom. Then another guard drops a massive bomb, remembering the knight handed out priceless universal elixirs like tap water. The captain's eyeballs practically pop out. The guard swears the noble girl's broken bones and curses vanished instantly after drinking that holy juice. Mind absolutely blown, the captain stammers. He gave away legendary artifacts without even blinking. The whole squad starts panicking. This mystery knight's flex level is terrifyingly insane. Going into full panic mode, the captain screams for an emergency ping to both high command and the central guild. The grunts scatter like scared bugs to deliver the earth-shattering news. Think about the absolute stakes. Karen is the golden child of the Empire's strongest ducal family. Nina has the Holy Church's direct sacred bloodline, and tiny Remy heir to the continent's wealthiest merchant empire. The captain's brain short-circuits. He concludes this masked god casually dragged the continent's 3 biggest superpowers without a single drop of sweat. In the captain's eyes, this absolute legend casually flexed god-tier loot. He rejected massive rewards like spare change, radiating an aura of total untouchable mystery. Only one logical answer remained. This masked badass had to be a top-secret Imperial Black Ops agent. Meanwhile, utterly clueless about the massive misunderstanding, Kai wanders the bustling streets completely starstruck. Taking it all in, his gamer brain explodes. The graphics match the original game perfectly. He immediately spots the massive hunter guild in the distance. He desperately wants to explore every single pixel, but his physical stamina bar is flashing red, leaving him completely dead on his feet. Why is every single non-player character staring at him right now? A tiny kid glares holes into his soul, and our clueless hero starts sweating nervously. His gamer logic completely failed him. He thought full-plate armor was standard casual wear here. Nope, his ultra-rare gear is glowing like a walking neon sign. Way too exhausted to deal with the unwanted fame, finding a cheap inn becomes his ultimate quest. Suddenly, a random little girl tackles his leg, screaming about how cool he looks. Caught totally off guard, our heavily armed protagonist freezes up like a glitching system error. Meanwhile, dramatic crying echoes through a super fancy mansion. Karen's father is ugly, sobbing, hugging his beloved daughter like there is no tomorrow. Completely out of patience, Karen sighs, ordering him to breathe and stop embarrassing the family name. Mid-breakdown, the frantic dad finally realizes she is standing perfectly on her own 2 feet and awkwardly apologizes for his dramatic meltdown. With a proud smirk, Karen drops the bomb. A legendary universal elixir fixed her leg. She even does a cute little twirl to prove her health points are completely maxed out. Her eyes sparkle with awe as she explains how the masked hero pulled out god-tier medicine like it was a cheap energy drink. Getting super hyped, she reveals he just tossed it over and completely rejected any reward. Mind completely blown, the noble frantically scans the incident report to double-check these insane facts. Peeking over his shoulder, Karen points out a massive plot hole, asking if their savior really acted solo. Her father shakes his head. He never hired anyone, and if he had a mythical potion, he would have totally used it on her ages ago. Going full detective mode, Karen realizes the mysterious agent just lied to keep them calm during the chaotic rescue. The Duke rubs his chin, deducing that this overpowered knight must be secret intelligence, since he already knew about the Red Freed Mafia. To him, the guy was obviously swimming in classified syndicate intel, but saving the hostages was not his real objective, meaning this absolute madman went rogue and broke protocol for them. Desperate to repay the favor, the Duke plans to send an official thank you letter to protect their rogue savior. Karen instantly panics. Sending a letter would blow his cover completely and make his incoming punishment 10 times worse. She quickly asks if her dad has figured out which shadow faction this absolute beast actually works for. His expression turns dead serious. He reveals a top-secret message. The Red Freed Syndicate was entirely wiped out exactly 2 days ago. Tracing the map, he gasps. The knight took a crazy detour around Waffer just to dodge enemy attention. Karen's jaw drops at his tactical genius. The Duke nods, realizing the puzzle pieces of this overpowered legend are finally connecting. Staring deeply at his daughter, he drops the ultimate lore bomb. The Mafia was crushed by the Verdar Direct Control Squadron. Utterly stunned, Karen whispers the name of the Empire's most terrifying shadow organization. These guys take direct orders from the Emperor himself, crushing any threats to public order with absolute ruthless efficiency. Rumor has it every single member is a monstrously overpowered hunter. They are the apex predators of the military. Because of this, the Duke is absolutely convinced their savior is a top-tier executive running solo missions. To protect the hero's cover, he orders Karen to take this massive secret to her grave. But the Duke fiercely vows to repay this life debt, even if it costs him his entire fortune. Since the Phantom Knight vanished into the city, he orders Karen to instantly summon their head maid, Lifia. The stealth search mission begins now. Karen nods with determination and sprints right out the door. Left alone in the silence, the Duke collapses into his fancy armchair, his mind racing with wild theories. He prays to the heavens that this mystery man is a Verdar, very important person, because only that kind of authority can save him from going rogue. Knowing the brutal politics of the nobility, he realizes the other 2 major families are definitely hunting for the masked hero too. Morning arrives at the tavern. The vibe is completely dead and wonderfully peaceful. Chowing down on a juicy steak, our hero gets a solid thumbs up from the owner for actually behaving himself. Chatting away, the old man totally praises this mysterious black-armored dude's flawless manners. Kai just chews his meat with a totally deadpan stare, completely clueless about the absolute circus heading his way. The owner casually asks if he traveled from afar, and Kai gives a tiny nod. Bam! A soldier kicks the tavern doors wide open, shattering the peace in seconds. Sweating bullets, the guard screams, "Has anyone seen a terrifying dude wearing pitch-black armor?" Cue the awkward silence. Kai and the boss just lock horrified eyes. Internal screaming activates Kai, shoots the old man, a desperate begging puppy dog glare. Putting on an Oscar-worthy performance, the boss lies through his teeth. Nope, haven't seen him. The Duke needs to chill out. The soldier squints, totally suspicious, and demands the absolute truth. Sweating buckets but holding firm, the boss doesn't crack. Kai mentally prays to every single god for this acting masterclass. Defeated, the guard aggressively sighs, mumbles a quick thanks, and dramatically storms out. Click. The heavy tavern doors shut, bringing back that sweet, sweet silence. Just as Kai exhales his relief, creak. Now a holy sister from the church marches in demanding exactly the same black-armored fugitive. Ninja reflexes activated. The boss shoves Kai straight under the bar and prepares round 2 of lies. Slapping on a saintly smile, he swears to the heavens he hasn't seen a soul like that. She nods, giving her blessing and dips. But wait, the door literally just closed. Bam! A crazy merchant council rep blasts inside. Kai is literally sobbing into his knees right now. He curls into a pathetic little ball of absolute terror behind the wood. Copy and paste. The exhausted old man recycles his exact same flimsy cover story. The frustrated rep finally throws in the towel, whining about his ruined paycheck. Coast clear. The boss pokes the violently shaking armor ball under his desk. Trembling like a leaf, Kai slithers out his brain, totally short-circuiting from this triple-threat nightmare. Grabbing his gray hair, the boss screams internally, "Dude, what on earth did you destroy to get the city's top 3 factions hunting you simultaneously?" Brain totally empty, Kai violently shakes his head. I literally did nothing wrong, I swear. Or did he? He seriously starts questioning his entire existence and past choices. Sweating bullets, the boss begs him to fix this massive screw-up before his beloved tavern gets totally cancelled. Trapped in this absolute circus, Kai's only thought is finding a deep, dark hole to bury himself in forever. Cut to the noble estate, Karen's big sis inspects the redhead's leg with laser focus. But Karen just chills, flexing that she is 100% magically cured. Perched gracefully on her fancy bed, Karen shoots her sister a warm, grateful look. She confesses she will actually miss their cozy little nursing routine after all this time. Her sister smiles gently. It is amazing to see you walking, but man, I'm totally going to miss fussing over you every single day. Suddenly, Karen's mind aggressively pivots back to her masked prince. How the heck is a giant dude in pitch black metal playing hide-and-seek this well? In her wildly romanticized brain, Kai is executing a galaxy brain stealth mission to bamboozle the cops. Dragging a chair over her sister nods. Even their stubborn dad is buying into this epic conspiracy theory. Dropping her voice dramatically, Karen worries her dark knight will face horrible torture for tossing them a mythical healing potion. Hand on her hip, she gasps at his noble lie. He totally tried to play off that divine treasure as his own cheap stash. In her crazy fantasy, her masked hero was desperately hiding his tracks from some terrifying super-secret shadow guild. Sighing like a tragic heroine, Karen just prays her poor savior isn't currently getting brutally executed. Her sister tries not to crack up. It is ridiculously cute seeing the usually tough Karen stressing out this hard. Pouting Karen wildly defends herself. The guy solo carried our entire rescue mission. Obviously, I am going to stress over his safety. Blushing like a complete tomato, she crosses her arms and totally whines about the ruthless teasing. She is absolutely convinced this guy threw his entire life away, defying his shadowy bosses just to save her. Backing up her delusion, she points out that Na and Rei's powerful families are totally on the exact same hype train. But Karen furiously claims the #1 fan spot. Nobody is obsessing over their dark savior harder than she is. Her sister completely loses it, laughing that this is pure, undiluted, true love. Cut back to the inn, where the boss awkwardly pats our completely innocent, panicking hero. Despite the pep talk, insane gossip is currently burning through the city streets like actual wildfire. And the massive manhunt for our terrified Black Knight, it is about to hit absolute peak maximum overdrive. Staring him dead in the eye, the old man casually drops a truth bomb. Literally no one else could be that masked weirdo but Kai. Sweating bullets, Kai mentally writes his own will, dreading the incoming smackdown. The old guy shrugs. Worst case scenario, the 3 elite families just kick him to the curb permanently. Giving him a look of absolute pity, the innkeeper sighs heavily. Shielding this walking disaster is seriously wrecking his good karma. Even so, he warns the panicked kid that packing his bags right now would be a massive rookie mistake. Adding salt to the wound, the city council just slapped a whopping 3 million bounty on his head. Jaw hitting the floor, Kai practically shrieks. With that much cash on the line, why has not this geezer sold him out yet? Chuckling at his absolute panic, the boss smirks. Those noble elites are playing sneaky ninja right now. They absolutely dread making a public scene. Tossing him a bone, the old man tells Kai to slap that armor back on, sneak outside, and soak up the festival before his impending doom. Soul completely crushed, Kai just nods. He shuffles away from the counter like a deflated balloon. Tossing out a quick good luck, the boss yells for him to live it up while his limbs are still attached. Catching a tiny spark of optimism, Kai figures he might as well party hard today. He is getting booted out tomorrow anyway, right? Trudging down the busy streets, he watches the golden sunset. He desperately hunts for a silver lining in this absolute dumpster fire of a situation. Suddenly, the giant clock tower catches his eye. Back in his gaming days, scaling that massive monument at sunset was his absolute favorite hobby. Fully aware that the entry fee is practically highway robbery, he blindly marches right up to that ticket booth. Fueled by pure nostalgia, he hikes up endless flights of stairs, totally mesmerized by the gorgeous city below. But the second he hits the roof, his jaw drops. Wait a minute, this premium spot was supposed to be completely deserted. Instead, some random person beat him to it, quietly enjoying the evening breeze. A super elegant lady in sleek black stood under the open sky, rocking a highly suspicious mask. Sensing a stranger, the fiery redhead slowly turned around. Kai instantly froze like a statue. Holy moly, she was drop-dead gorgeous. Glitching out completely, he awkwardly squeaked out a basic, hello. Completely unfazed, the classy lady greeted him back, welcoming him to the summit. Ding, a forgotten game rumor suddenly flashed in his brain. Was not there a secret hidden event with a mysterious tower lady? Playing it incredibly safe, he backed up. Was he actually triggering a rare quest right now? With a buttery soft voice, the masked beauty hyped up the scenery. It truly was the ultimate spot to wash away the daily stress. Nodding like a bobblehead, Kai totally agreed that the view was insane. Tilting her head, she casually asked what dragged a guy like him up here. Looking like a kicked puppy, he mumbled his confession. He really needed a quiet place to process the absolute chaos happening in his life. Out of nowhere, she dropped a wild question. Did he know anything about that infamous dude in the black armor? Gulp. Kai felt his stomach drop to his knees as sheer panic gripped his soul. Wait, was his secret identity totally busted already? Slapping on the fakest smile in existence, he played dumb. Oh, that Black Knight guy. Literally everyone in town is gossiping about him. Surprisingly honest, the lady confessed she was also hunting for that absolute legend. She would give anything just to meet the guy face to face. Sweating bullets again, Kai nervously squeaked out a question. Did this so-called knight accidentally commit a terrible crime? Giggling behind her hand, she quickly shut down his panic. No way, this guy was definitely not on some supervillain wanted list. Turns out the big bosses just wanted to throw him a massive thank you party. Hearing those top secret details finally made Kai stop hyperventilating. Knowing he was not about to get publicly executed was like a massive boulder rolling right off his weary shoulders. Right on cue, an insanely fancy carriage pulled up to the bottom of the monument. Spotting the shiny wheels, the masked beauty knew her luxury ride had arrived. Pouting slightly, Kai asked if she really had to bail so soon. Flashing a charming vibe, she confidently declared their hunt would definitely get results soon. With a classy bow, she said her goodbyes. Gliding down the stairs, she left behind a trail of pure mystery. Standing alone on the windy deck, Kai just stared at her vanishing figure. Scratching his head, he stood there totally stumped. Who on earth was that masked goddess anyway? Popping out of the tower, the lady elegantly hopped into the carriage. Surprise, feisty little Karen was waiting inside. Bouncing with totally hyper energy, the tiny redhead demanded they wear masks to hunt for Kai. It was the ultimate stealth tactic to dodge annoying crowds. Rolling her eyes, Karen's sister mercilessly roasted the kid. She loudly groaned about being dragged into yet another totally unhinged spy mission. Letting out a bubbly laugh, the masked beauty quickly apologized for her pint-sized chaos gremlin. Honestly though, she confessed it was a huge relief. She was just super thrilled her sister actually showed up to rescue her from that tower. Rocking in the carriage, the masked lady casually dropped some juicy gossip. She bumped into a very interesting guy up on that roof. Karen's gamer senses instantly tingled. Knowing those shady tower rumors, she immediately suspected that random dude was secretly spying on their manhunt. Smiling gently, the masked beauty dismissed any suspicion, calling their little chat surprisingly peaceful. No secret plots involved at all. For her, it was actually a wonderfully refreshing break from the usual chaos. She admitted probing him about the infamous Black Knight, but the clueless guy totally failed the vibe check. Sighing heavily, Karen grumbled that their paranoid father already assumed Kai had skipped town entirely. But suddenly, a light bulb went off. The masked lady remembered one ridiculously specific detail about Tower Boy. Karen froze like a statue. Her fiery eyes locked on aggressively, demanding a full physical description. She pictured a super handsome dude, totally chill vibes, rocking a very distinct scar on his left cheek. The Black Knight has that exact scar, Karen shrieked instantly, slamming the carriage window open like an absolute maniac. Screaming at the poor coachman, she furiously commanded an immediate full-speed U-turn back to the clock tower. Flabbergasted by this insane outburst, her sister questioned if she was seriously jumping to such crazy conclusions. But Karen's brain was running at max capacity. That mysterious tower stranger was absolutely Kai in stealth mode. Pouting over the delayed intel, she revealed that secret facial scar was top-tier family knowledge only. The pieces finally clicked into place. Her sister's jaw dropped in absolute dumbfounded silence. Tires practically screeching, the carriage drifted wildly down the empty road. They bolted out before it even fully parked. Sprinting toward the tower like track stars, they desperately prayed to catch the elusive hero before he ghosted again. Panting heavily, they finally reached the summit. But cue the dramatic sad violin, the terrace was completely deserted. Kai had successfully poofed. Meanwhile, across town at the ridiculously busy Treasure Hunters Guild headquarters, the guildmaster was aggressively pulling his own hair out, totally clueless about the Black Knight's identity. Scanning the chaotic mission reports, he wildly deduced this masked legend belonged to the elite Imperial Vertar squad. In his overworked brain, Kai solo carried the rescue of 3 noble heiresses while effortlessly deleting the Red Freed Syndicate. Sweating bullets, the boss noted that kidnapping those top-tier rich girls was basically a massive death wish. It was literally declaring war on the Empire. Obviously, those elite Imperial forces had to personally intervene, right? But his anxiety was totally skyrocketing. Not a single useless spy in town had managed to actually talk to the guy. Desperate times call for stupid measures. He literally ordered his lackeys to stage awkward accidental bump into him encounters, just to force a simple hello, but classic Manhwa luck stepped in, and that pathetic master plan totally flopped. When a planted little girl bumped him, Kai just politely dusted her off and kept casually strolling away. The undercover agents were completely stunned, awkwardly bowing in thanks as their target just melted into the busy crowd. Totally defeated, the stressed-out boss prayed. This overpowered knight would just fast travel back to the capital already. Before causing any more massive headaches, suddenly, bam, the receptionist kicked the office door wide open. Hyperventilating wildly, she screamed that the legendary masked man just casually walked through their front doors. Thinking she was definitely trolling him, the annoyed boss snapped at her to stop playing silly pranks. But her pale, terrified face proved it was no joke. Downstairs, that terrifying black armor had every single hunter totally paralyzed. Panic mode activated, the guildmaster practically teleported downstairs to roll out the red carpet. Watching from behind, the receptionist was violently suppressing a laugh at his ridiculously fast attitude adjustment. The tough hunters were literally biting their lips, dying over how their usually grumpy boss was acting like a total suck-up. Sweating absolute buckets, the nervous leader bowed deeply, begging to know why such royalty graced their humble shack. Internally panicking himself, Kai tried acting cool, casually claiming he just wanted to browse the joint. The master went full customer service mode, dramatically praising the heavens for this unbelievably huge honor. But inside his hyperactive brain, the boss was instantly cooking up the most insane five-dimensional chess conspiracy theories. He heard browse and immediately translated it to top-secret Imperial reconnaissance mission to judge our worth. In mere seconds, he completely surrendered mentally. He was utterly convinced this guy was an absolute monster of tactical genius. This boss once dreamed of joining the elite Vertar, but sadly possessed zero main character energy. Now staring at this living legend, he felt the humiliating power gap absolutely crushing his soul. Maintaining his ultimate fanboy energy, he frantically offered his private office for the ultimate VIP inspection tour. Clueless Kai happily agreed, totally assuming this ridiculous royal treatment was just standard guild protocol. The second he went upstairs, the hall exploded. Down below, hunters instantly started spinning wild conspiracy theories. Half the room thought this whole circus was just a dramatically hyped-up bluff, but the veterans noticed his terrifyingly relaxed aura. His guard was completely down. It was the ultimate flex, daring anyone to strike first. The terrifying conclusion: this absolute monster could casually wipe out the entire room. Absolute dread froze the entire hall. Grown warriors physically cowered, completely certain their entire guild would get wiped in seconds. Sweating bullets, they wondered if this masked freak could solo an S-rank disaster. Meanwhile, our main character was internally screaming, dreading the absurd new myths they were definitely inventing. With every heavy footstep, his accidental fraud was snowballing into a totally unmanageable disaster. After that agonizing tour, the guildmaster personally rolled out the red carpet to kick him out. Dripping in nervous sweat, Kai made a blood vow to never ever set foot in this terrifying place again. He thought he would be interrogated. Instead, he got cult-like worship and terrifyingly murderous stares. A massive shudder wrecked his spine. Worse yet, the notoriously toxic guildmaster from the original game had acted like a groveling puppy. Absolutely clueless, he questioned how he had accidentally unlocked the Supreme VIP route. But hey, awkwardness aside, it was a solid excuse to walk around and cure his crippling boredom. Shaking it off, he boldly stepped back into the lively streets. Problem was, peaceful sightseeing is literally impossible when you look like a walking disco ball of armor. Suddenly, a fancy carriage screeched to a dramatic halt right behind him. Karen hopped out, pointing an accusing finger as she victoriously screamed that she caught her prey. Kai instantly turned into a statue. That ridiculously fancy crest absolutely belonged to her terrifyingly powerful noble family. Fuming with fiery annoyance, Karen aggressively demanded to know exactly which rock he crawled under. Awkwardly pointing down the street, he confessed he had been chilling at a random cheap inn. Her jaw dropped. She shrieked that the crusty old bartender had lied straight to her aristocratic face. Flashing a smug little grin, Kai totally admitted he bribed the old man to play dumb. Karen, completely short-circuited, absolutely humiliated that a basic bartender tricked her. Deflecting the drama, our masked hero casually bragged about his elite stealth skills. Pouting furiously at his joke, she crossed her arms, instantly refusing to hear another pathetic excuse. Right on cue, a ridiculously sweet, angelic voice drifted from the carriage's velvet interior. One single word, and Kai immediately identified that iconic, elegant tone and gorgeous hair. The mysterious clock tower beauty stepped into the sunlight. Unmasked at last, she elegantly introduced herself as Lithia. Radiating pure noble grace, she deeply apologized for the wait. Flashing a saintly smile, she politely checked if her savior had a quick minute. His survival instincts screaming, Kai awkwardly asked what fresh chaos this royal invitation would actually trigger. Karen shot back that he just needed to visit their massive estate for a proper fancy thank you party. With zero hesitation, Kai bluntly hit them with a hard no, claiming his schedule was packed. Honestly, he was terrified that tripping over a rug in front of elite nobles would end in an instant execution. Catching his obvious panic, both beautiful sisters simply giggled. Rejection denied, Karen violently grabbed his gauntlet. With cute pink cheeks, she furiously demanded he just shut up and accept their gratitude. Locking onto his steel arm like a koala, she mercilessly dragged him straight toward their doommobile. Soul leaving his body, Kai slumped into the fancy carriage, fully accepting his tragic impending doom. Throughout the bumpy ride, Karen sported a terrifyingly smug grin, hyped about officially catching her elusive prize. But in Kai's panicked mind, this was not a sweet reward, it was literally a high-class kidnapping. Lithia piled on the praise, softly swearing. His epic rescue protected both their lives and the entire duchy's massive reputation. Sighing internally, Kai finally realized why this entire situation was so ridiculously dramatic. Suddenly, Karen shoved her finger in his face again, announcing she had one massive mystery left to crack. Safely hiding behind thick steel, Kai mentally cried about her aggressively bossy interrogation tactics. 2 seconds later, the hot-headed girl totally snapped. Ditching the noble act, she exploded back into her loud, fiery self. Nodding briskly, the Dark Knight urged her to skip the dramatic build-up and state her request. Cutting the fluff, Karen demanded to know why he recklessly wasted literal mythical elixirs just to save them. Swimming in guilt, she admitted, fearing his sudden disappearance meant his shady syndicate was brutally hunting him down. Projecting absolute confidence, the armored warrior smoothly assured her those priceless artifacts were his personal stash. Lithia gasped softly, her mind blown, as she finally realized those legendary healing items were actually authentic. Still sweating bullets, Karen asked if hoarding such god-tier loot was basically a massive death wish. Leaning in frantically, she interrogated him about exactly how a lone knight acquired such heaven-defying treasures. Behind the intimidating visor, Kai was internally screaming, desperately brainstorming a halfway decent lie to escape this. Trapped by their intense stares, he knew he had to bluff his way into looking completely unbothered. Throwing a metaphorical smoke bomb, he declared he held zero regrets, as long as her injured leg was fully restored. Dropping a dangerously smooth line, he told Karen to just live happily and leave the dangerous burdens on his shoulders. The little redhead morphed into a blushing tomato, dropping the carriage into stunned silence. Deeply mesmerized, Lithia bowed her head to thank their magnificent savior once again. Desperate to break the romantic tension, Kai raised a single armored finger, awkwardly requesting a tiny favor. Both noble beauties locked their intense gazes on him, eagerly awaiting this allegedly monumental request. Outside, the opulent cabin rattled steadily across the cobblestones, approaching the grand ducal estate. Sounding dead serious, the knight begged them to run interference if he accidentally offended their terrifying nobleman father. Karen blinked in absolute shock, totally baffled that such an overpowered monster would ask for something so trivial. Flabbergasted, she yelled that he literally handed over a mythical elixir without demanding a single gold coin. Sweating profoundly, he spat out a pathetic lie about being a lowly commoner, petrified of aristocratic wrath. In his panicked mind, keeping his head attached to his neck was the only legendary treasure he actually wanted. The sisters silently traded meaningful glances, mentally digesting his incredibly flimsy cover story. To the perceptive Lithia, an elite powerhouse claiming to fear basic etiquette, screamed absolute undeniable falsehood. Watching his clumsy deflection, she concluded this fake cowardice was actually a brilliant psychological test, begging them not to pry into his dark secrets. Playing along, she graciously accepted his terms, swearing to back up his social blunders if needed. Pouting slightly, Karen crossed her arms, loudly declaring her strict father could never punish their literal guardian angel. With an elegant smile, Lithia also vowed to aggressively defend any accidental disrespect he might show. Smirking playfully, Karen poked his ego, asking if he planned to hide behind that massive iron bucket forever. Awkwardly rubbing the back of his steel-clad neck, the knight sheepishly confessed that hiding his face would be deeply disrespectful. Giggling, Karen admitted she adored the badass armor, but secretly craved a glimpse of the man underneath. Realizing how incredibly bold that sounded, her face caught fire. Lithia swiftly scolded her sister for acting so outrageously shameless in public. Utterly baffled by this sudden sibling squabble, Kai just sat perfectly still like a frozen statue. Yet internally, Lithia beamed with a gentle warmth, loving this adorable, chaotic banter between her sister and their hero. Deep in her romantic heart, she had completely crowned this masked giant as the ultimate pinnacle of masculine virtue. In her wildly overactive imagination, his pathetic commoner excuse was clearly a masterful decoy protecting his elite shadow assassin identity. Witnessing such godlike humility, paired with monstrous combat skills, she totally understood why Karen was falling head over heels. In her high society experience, fame usually turned legendary heroes into insufferable, arrogant trash. Worse yet, the toxic people swarming those fake heroes always reeked of desperate greed. Usually arrogant warriors constantly flexed their golden ranks and status to dominate everyone else. But this glorious anomaly annihilated a deadly underworld syndicate, saved noble beauties, and just kept apologizing for breathing. Because of his blinding nobility, she felt her aristocratic family owed him a monumental, unpayable life debt. His absolute refusal to exploit their vulnerable maiden status made him dangerously charming in her eyes. Slashing through the heavy silence, Karen confessed she was secretly sweating buckets about returning to the estate. Grabbing the comedic opening, the armored fraud teased that her tough girl act was completely crumbling under basic family pressure. Stomping her foot, Karen pointed an angry finger, screaming that she wasn't terrified, just stressed over aristocratic party planning. Leafia giggled at her little sister's explosive tantrum. To her, this chaotic scene was pure comedy. She was completely convinced that the mysterious Shadow Knight was pushing Karen's buttons just to calm her nerves. Growing up as a duke's daughter, Karen's world was trapped in a suffocating bubble of plastic smiles and boring politicians. Caught in ruthless, high-society mind games, the other aristocratic ladies always treated the young girl like a contagious plague. And do not even mention the boys. Every single nobleman just drooled over her as a shiny political trophy wife. Because of this toxic environment, poor Karen never had a single genuine friend to share a normal teenage life with. Those snobby elites would just strut right past her, completely blind to the crushing loneliness in her eyes. So seeing Kai handle her sister's wild tantrums with the patience of a literal saint made Leafia's heart soar. Completely out of patience with the crawling carriage, Karen violently shook her sister's arm. "Hurry up and get us home." Chilling in the corner, Kai released a heavy, exhausted sigh. These noble sisters were an absolute hurricane of chaos. Meanwhile, Leafia's delusional imagination ran wild. She thought this overpowered beast was riding shotgun just to protect her family's precious honor. Plus, the absolute madman casually dropped a divine elixir worth a whole kingdom, and he did not demand a single penny. The elegant lady was absolutely smitten. To her, finding another guy with such an angelic soul was scientifically impossible. Blushing like a ripe tomato, her brain gears were already spinning, scheming up wild plans to lock this man down forever. Putting on her professional face, she gently probed to find out exactly how long the warrior planned to stay. Flashing that effortless swagger, he complimented their gorgeous town. "I will probably just stick around until I get bored," he shrugged. Bingo to Leafia's dramatic brain, that vague dodge practically screamed that some ultra-secret shadow guild was pulling his strings. Struck by total awe, she believed that with this legendary protector lurking in the dark, the whole empire was completely untouchable. Utterly mesmerized guilt tugged at her fluttering heart. Was it totally evil to selfishly hoard this majestic hero for herself? Let us be honest. Her little sister's raging, totally obvious crush was dangerously starting to rub off on her too. Blissfully clueless to the romantic hurricane brewing beside him, Kai just wiggled into the plush cushions, hunting for the perfect nap angle. Boom! The Duke's legendary estate finally loomed over the horizon. Its ridiculous, over-the-top majesty could paralyze any normal guest. Smooth as butter, our hero hopped down and chivalrously swung the heavy carriage door open. Holy VIP treatment. A massive army of maids and heavily armed guards formed a flawless, mile-long honor guard right across the courtyard. Kai's brain instantly blue-screened. Sweating bullets, he wildly scanned the overwhelming crowd, wondering what the heck was going on. Beaming with pure aristocratic pride, Leafia proudly chirped, "This is our clan's ultimate maximum-level VIP greeting." Crushed by a million staring eyeballs, Kai's edgy Shadow Lord persona was literally 1 second away from totally crumbling. Swallowing his massive anxiety, he tried to play it cool. Such a giant festival will just attract annoying spies. Flashing a terrifyingly sweet smile, Leafia basically declared war. "Any fool who dares complain can personally argue with our blades." Gulp. Kai awkwardly surrendered to the terrifying VIP march, mentally praying for the souls of anyone who ever angered this family. Thanks to crazy aristocratic logic, he knew deep down that rejecting this shiny red carpet was practically a guaranteed death sentence. Wham! Without a single warning, the terrifying headmaid and the elite guard captain spectacularly face-planted onto the hard stones. Foreheads glued to the ground, they aggressively bellowed. "Welcoming the legendary Dark Savior is our ultimate supreme glory." Brushing off his knees, the ancient butler respectfully bowed again. "The Supreme Masters are anxiously awaiting your arrival inside, sir." Dropping a flawless movie star curtsy, Leafia dismissed the terrified staff. "Karen and I desperately need a wardrobe upgrade right now." With a sneaky, playful wink, she teased, "I will be right next door if our big bad knight needs that little favor later." Karen gave a super dramatic, deadly serious nod. As the girls vanished, Kai was trapped with the terrifying guards sweating buckets all over again. Suddenly, the intimidating guard captain stepped right up. Bowing deeply, he eagerly offered an exclusive personal escort. Dripping with extreme nervous politeness, the soldier carefully asked if he could babysit the hero's terrifying black blade for VIP security reasons. Kai just chucked the legendary weapon over without blinking. The poor captain's jaw dropped, asking if the master was 100% sure. Playing the chill, everyday guy role, Kai simply shrugged. "Dude, ditching your giant sword inside a duke's house is just common sense." But then, with a deadpan voice that was ridiculously terrifying, he casually dropped a bomb. "Honestly, I am way more deadly empty-handed anyway." The captain's eyeballs practically exploded from sheer shock. Gulping loudly, pure horror paralyzed the soldier's face. He finally grasped exactly how monstrous that casual flex truly sounded. The funniest part, beneath that intimidating helmet, Kai was not flexing at all. He was dead serious. During his gaming days, he spawned into a meat shield avatar boasting hilariously broken physical stats. His god-tier reflexes made swinging a weapon feel like fighting in slow motion. Honestly, his bare fists were way better for face smashing than any blade. But the guard captain, utterly clueless about this flex. To that poor NPC, our guy looked straight up like the final boss of the underworld. Moving along, the veteran maid guided this walking armored disaster down the fancy hallways. Pausing before the grand parlor doors, Kai's heart practically played a heavy metal drum solo. Gripping the handle, he furiously prayed to the system for a fast, totally bloodless chat. Cut back to the courtyard where the captain was totally fanboying over the black sword he held. System lore stated this godly weapon possessed infinite durability and slashed through literally everything. Riding the hype, the captain playfully invited Karen to hold the legendary gear under his watch. The pint-sized redhead zoomed over like a tiny tornado, practically tackling him in sheer hype. Desperate to wield her savior's mythical drop, she stared at the glossy dark steel with absolute starry-eyed wonder. Vibrating with crazy energy, she demanded the captain give her a proper showcase immediately. Chuckling at her gremlin energy, he displayed the edge shimmering like a lethally. Tilting her head, Karen noted its insane aesthetic made it look way too pretty for actual monster slaying. Totally mesmerized, the guard nodded, admitting it resembled a museum masterpiece rather than a battlefield tool. Basking in the sunlight, that shadowy steel sparkled so gloriously it completely flashbanged their brains. Rubbing her chin, Lithia's inner detective suddenly woke up. If he ditched weapons, what was his combat class? She pictured a genius tactician prioritizing lightning-fast surgical strikes over monkey brain brawling. While they nerded out, Karen stealthily grabbed the godly hilt herself. Boom! The sword's ridiculously unfair weight stat instantly demolished her non-existent arm strength. Panicking, the captain lunged as she suddenly face-planted forward. Overpowered by the gravity-defying chunk of metal, the tiny noble fumbled. The blade plummeted straight toward the expensive courtyard pavement. It cleaved the bedrock like warm cheese. A terrifyingly clean slice dropped the entire courtyard into pin-drop silence. Karen's jaw hit the floor, her brain utterly failing to process the property damage she just caused. The captain and Lithia shrieked in pure panic, witnessing the stone floor get perfectly bisected without friction. Right then, the older sister fully grasped the terrifying reality. 0 armor drops could ever tank that absolute cheat code. Shaking like a leaf, the guard suddenly recalled the hero's flex about being deadlier, completely unarmed. He frantically scrambled over to check if the little troublemaker had lost any fingers. Sweating bullets, he desperately swore he would take the Duke's wrath and claim full responsibility for this disaster. Meanwhile, inside the VIP room, the heavy-stakes tea party had officially launched. Eavesdropping like pros, the sisters heard their father's booming voice. He was pouring out crazy amounts of gratitude toward their masked savior. Karen blinked in shock. Her normally intimidating dad sounded ridiculously meek. Lithia smirked slightly, whispering that the reason was basically flashing in neon signs. Through the wood, they sensed the unbelievable truth. Their untouchable Duke father was completely submitting to this masked gigachad. Given his massive aggro as a political boss, the Duke strictly maintained an alpha-level poker face. Clutching her chest, Lithia exhaled softly. Unbelievable gratitude had absolutely shattered her old man's legendary ego. Karen felt her heart squeeze. Their family's pride took a massive critical hit because of her terrifying kidnapping quest. Lithia dryly muttered, asking if Karen seriously had time to mope. The younger sibling blinked like a confused puppy. Dropping the savage truth, Lithia reminded her she literally just demolished their family's ridiculously expensive courtyard. Reality delivered a swift uppercut, and Karen instantly petrified. Her brain buffering stopped. She just nuked the estate's premium driveway using a borrowed mythical item. Sprouting anime tears, she wailed that her father would absolutely vaporize her for this catastrophic goof. Pointing an accusatory finger, Lithia ruthlessly added, she also utterly backstabbed the captain's trust, who merely let her inspect the OP gear. Whisper screaming in full panic mode, Karen frantically argued nobody gave her the stat requirements for a ridiculously heavy butter-slicing deathblade. Watching her little sister's dramatic meltdown, Lithia desperately bit her lip to hold back laughter. Stifling a giggle, she playfully ordered the crying girl to quit her whining. After all, her cursed illness was gone. With her health fully restored, an entire lifetime of adventures was finally waiting. Her gloomy mood vanishing instantly, the fiery girl vowed to live her second life to the absolute fullest. A warm smile spread across Lithia's face as the sparkling energy returned to her sibling. Seeing this, the young girl finally relaxed. Shifting the mood, Lithia pointed out the obvious truth. Their mysterious savior was definitely hiding his monstrous power, tossing around a legendary grade item like cheap candy. If the imperial family caught wind of this, the masked hero would face catastrophic heat. Touched by his massive sacrifice, the redhead fiercely swore to endlessly repay their masked benefactor. A bizarre piece of intel suddenly crossed the older sister's mind, sparking intense suspicion. Rumor had it that the absolute legend rejected all compensation. He treated a deadly rescue mission like a casual morning stroll. Any normal peasant would have drooled over a ducal bounty, mountains of gold, vast territories, unchecked political power, and ultimate nobility. You would have to be completely insane to casually reject a blank check from a ruling noble house. Smirking Lithia whispered that her only true desire was to peek beneath that mysterious mask. Instantly throwing a cute tantrum, Karen loudly declared a total monopoly on his handsome face. Chuckling, the older sister shamelessly teased that someone sounded incredibly, undeniably jealous. She was acting totally possessive over the overpowered knight. Blushing madly, the little tsundere aggressively stammered that she had only glimpsed his battle-scarred eye. Instantly, the clever older sister realized exactly what was happening. Her baby sister was utterly smitten. Pouting fiercely, the blushing redhead desperately denied catching any romantic feelings for their dark savior. A deafening silence fell over the room as the two siblings locked eyes in dramatic tension. Sweating bullets, the flustered girl aggressively doubled down. It was strictly hero worship, nothing else. While the Sunder sister drowned in a sea of teenage panic, the atmosphere inside the main hall was suffocatingly grim. Gripping her teacup, the girl prayed her father would not chase away her knight. Meanwhile, the adult meeting was absolute terrifying torture. A suffocating aura of heavy pressure crushed down on the entire room. Drenched in cold sweat, the terrified nobles stared frozen at the monstrous black-armored juggernaut sitting before them. Like a grim reaper made of steel, the terrifying warrior remained absolutely terrifyingly motionless. Totally misreading the silence, the panicking lord broke his brain trying to figure out why this apex predator was refusing payment. To the overthinking noble, the mysterious master was faking humility just to preserve the supreme face of their grand house. Showing terrifying grace, this shadowy beast wasn't showing a single ounce of greed for the massive life debt he possessed. Holding the ultimate hostage card of their daughters' lives, the Dark Warrior held absolute leverage to demand anything. Thanks to messy imperial politics, the terrified lord convinced himself this absolute monster was secretly an elite government operative. Basically, this masked anomaly possessed enough shadow authority to casually execute any corrupt official who dared cross him. His icy, soul-crushing silence from behind that dark helm only multiplied the sheer horror gripping the powerful ruling family. Trembling on the couch, the pale duchess whispered a horrifying theory. What if this deathly silence was a deadly loyalty test? Brain in overdrive, the frantic lord realized that disrespecting this hidden boss would instantly trigger a total clan wipe. Drowning in absolute panic, the poor guy started hallucinating wildly complex conspiracy theories inside his own head. To his terrified mind, this peaceful quiet felt exactly like a brutal death threat delivered straight from the abyss. Absolute worst-case scenario, if this legendary hero walked out unrewarded, the honor of their entire noble bloodline would be instantly turned to dust. Suddenly, the massive juggernaut moved. The terrifying clank of dark steel instantly froze the blood of everyone in the room. The horrified lord nearly flatlined, absolutely certain the Reaper had finally lost his thin patience. Panic hitting maximum levels, the noble realized a single wrong word here would mean absolute immediate destruction. Desperately grabbing the legendary medicine excuse, he swallowed his immense fear and bravely shattered the awful silence with a bribe. Dropping his status, the trembling duke bowed deeply and declared his absolute eternal honor to host such a legend. Sweating buckets, he frantically begged for mercy for delaying the grand treasure owed to such an unstoppable savior. Hidden inside that scary armor, the clueless main character practically cried tears of relief, praying to escape this awkward mess. Faking a flawless aristocratic smile, the Duchess quickly added that paying him back was a matter of total clan survival. With the death flag successfully avoided, the trembling lord eagerly unleashed a mountain of premium loot to appease the beast. Raising 3 fingers, the Duke casually offered the ultimate jackpot, a private mansion, mountains of cash, and total political backing. Kai was so blindsided by this absurd loot drop that he nearly choked on his own spit right there. Across the table, the sweating Duke and Duchess begged the terrifying Black Knight to accept their so-called small gift. The Duke's brain was working in overdrive. Giving an Imperial agent a secret base was the perfect move. They would definitely score massive survival points with the Emperor's Shadow Squad. Screaming internally with absolute joy, our knight instantly accepted the jackpot. Deal sealed. The Duke flashed a tiny victorious smile, completely convinced he had just passed some terrifying invisible loyalty test. With the suffocating tension finally gone, he suggested his daughters give the guest of honor a grand tour of his new crib today. Kai nodded instantly, trying to sound incredibly cool, while promising to take perfect care of his shiny new real estate. Wasting absolutely no time, the Duchess ordered the guards to fetch their daughters for immediate escort duty. Rising gracefully, she politely asked the fearsome knight to follow the hallway right into the guest lounge. Moving like a stiff robot, Kai just nodded and silently escaped the room. Click. The moment those giant doors finally shut, the silence in the hall became absolutely suffocating. Trembling like a leaf, the Duke melted into his chair like a deflated balloon. Wiping buckets of sweat, he muttered a prayer of thanks for actually surviving that boss encounter. Staring into the void, he realized his daughter was right. That monster in armor was definitely no ordinary human. Meanwhile, right outside the door, our masked faker violently stretched his stiff arms. He finally exhaled the massive breath of sheer panic he had been holding forever. Karen totally noticed his floppy posture and laughed out loud. Panicking slightly, Kai casually joked that heavy armor was the ultimate cheat code for hiding emotions. Smiling warmly, Lithia offered him tea and a quick rest after surviving that hilariously intense meeting with her parents. Karen, however, instantly went straight back to interrogation mode. She dramatically complained about his absolute zero reaction to winning the literal lottery 3 times over. Pouting in annoyance, she teased that he could have faked a smile after becoming a millionaire mansion owner in 5 minutes. Sprawled out on the couch, Kai fought the desperate urge to confess that his soul had practically ascended from pure joy. Safely behind his helmet, he silently screamed that getting hit by a mountain of free gold was just too ridiculous to compute. Let us be real. If nobody was watching, he would be doing backflips down the hallway like a total maniac. Lithia, always the composed sister, jumped in wanting to clarify one tiny detail about his epic loot. Looking totally serious, she casually dropped a bomb. The Duchy's insane generosity might still not be enough. She practically rolled out the red carpet, telling him to just name his price for whatever else he wanted. Sweating behind his stoic mask, Kai was utterly flabbergasted. His pockets were bursting, he had a whole mansion, and they still wanted to give more. Coughing mentally, he slapped his cool guy persona back on. He had to protect the edgy secret agent image at all costs. Desperate to change the subject, he casually asked if giving away a literal palace would bankrupt the poor duchy. Smiling like an angel of wealth, Lithia revealed they owned dozens of villas, and that one was just spare change. Karen crossed her arms, loudly grumbling that the massive mansion was way too gigantic for a lonely bachelor. Apparently, it was almost as huge as the main castle. Hearing this, Kai's brain completely crashed. This so-called small gift was absolute madness. In his mind, only a completely deranged, filthy, rich noble would toss around a luxury estate like a cheap souvenir. Smirking like a tiny demon, Karen poked him. Was he planning to hide a secret roommate in that giant house? Laughing nervously inside his metal shell, Kai swore up and down it was just going to be his totally boring secret base. Lithia nodded wisely. Of course, a legendary dark hero would not be tied down by silly things like a wife or dating. Then Karen dropped the ultimate nuke. Did the big bad Black Knight have a secret crush on anyone right now? Lithia turned completely red and frantically scolded her little sister for digging into his super secret love life. Before the cringe factor reached maximum levels, Kai quickly offered an unlimited access pass. They could crash at the villa anytime so it would not feel lonely. Karen's eyes sparked like actual stars. Her entire face lit up with pure victory at scoring an exclusive invite. Riding the hype train, Kai accidentally promised them a shiny spare key to waltz in whenever they wanted. Honestly though, having 2 chaotic noble girls hanging around was the ultimate camouflage against annoying spies and nosy neighbors. Absolutely thrilled, Karen proudly announced her new life mission, showing up to test his sanity every single day. Fired up, Lithia immediately seized the moment. The grand tour of the ultimate jackpot villa was starting right now. Bathed in sunlight, the massive estate radiated absolute wealth. The sprawling living room was completely spotless. Every piece of luxury furniture sat in flawless order. The massive, bright kitchen was fully stocked with brand new utensils sparkling like gold. Flashing a sweet smile, Lithia insists this ridiculous mansion is just a tiny thank you gift. No pressure at all. Pushing open the massive doors, Kai stares in shock. The place is fully furnished, right down to the fancy silverware. He awkwardly wonders aloud if a peasant like him can really accept such an absurdly lavish palace. Karen shoots him a look, teasing that he acts strangely humble now, despite usually treating her with zero respect. Stepping into the absurdly vast living room, Kai absorbs the insane wealth before awkwardly offering them a seat. He nervously explains that even though this is technically his mansion now, they should treat it like home and kick back. Planting her hands on her hips, Karen proudly declares she is not tired in the slightest. Kai sighs, helplessly lecturing that little kids should not push their limits. Furious, Karen immediately screams that she is no child. Then it hits her. He is just being a secret softie, worrying because her leg just barely finished healing. The dark-armored Kai dramatically throws his hands up. He did not waste rare medicine just for her to break her leg again. Besides, if rumors leak that he forced a duke's precious daughter to overwork, his head would roll. Smirking, he jokes that if she hates fluffy sofas so much, she is welcome to sit on his rock-hard armor instead. Between a heavenly sofa and spiky black metal, any sane person chooses the sofa. It was foolproof logic. Plot twist, Karen marches right over and plops directly onto his armored lap. Kai instantly freezes, panicking about what she is doing. Face burning like a tomato, Karen stammers that he was the idiot who suggested it. Sweating bullets, Kai insists it was just a joke. There is no way sitting on cold steel is comfortable. Stuck on his lap, Karen instantly realizes her backside is bruising and immediately regrets her life choices. Smiling mischievously, Lifia asks if she is enjoying herself. Still totally flushed, Karen frantically yells that she is absolutely miserable. With a devious twinkle in her eye, Lifia purrs that she never actually asked if Karen was happy. Pouting, Karen glances up at Kai. Why on earth is he still wearing heavy armor indoors? He should wear something comfy in his own house. Kai deflects, claiming it is for ultimate safety even though his real self is dying to strip it off. Truthfully, exposing his real face to Lifia right now would be mortifying, especially after that chaotic clock tower incident. Panicking to shift the spotlight off his identity, he violently changes the subject. As a desperate distraction, he awkwardly pats Karen's head. Karen turns an entirely new shade of red, screaming at him to stop patting her like a tiny toddler. Kai gently shoves her, warning that if she does not move to the sofa right now, her poor backside is going to suffer. Stubbornly squirming, Karen completely refuses to budge. Extremely confused, Kai demands to know why. Staring at the two noble beauties, Kai mutters that the Duke is absolutely insane to leave them alone with a guy like him. Blinking innocently, Lifia asks what he means. Kai explains that normally there should be at least one beefy male guard acting as chaperone. Sure, he saved her life, but he still does not know their true schemes. Plus, in a secluded mansion like this, literally anything could happen. Lifia giggles, promising her father never makes a single move without brilliant calculation. The Duke just decided Kai was totally worthy of his absolute trust. Kai nods. Even with zero deep conversations, he guesses a terrifyingly high-ranking noble like the Duke has overpowered skills in reading people. Pouting again, Karen adds that they literally have zero reasons to doubt him anyway. After all, he wasted legendary secret medicine on them. Kai shamelessly agrees. Taking the opening, Lifia smoothly invites him to a lavish dinner. Kai instantly rejects the offer. Lifia sighs dramatically, teasing that he is playing hard to get. Sweating, Kai awkwardly mumbles his schedule is just a bit chaotic. Glaring sharply, Karen demands that if he ever skips town, he better visit her estate to say goodbye and report back when he returns. Kai aggressively refuses, admitting he is terrified of the Duke. Their status gap is insane, and his life is already packed with way too much drama. Stepping dangerously close, Lifia practically begs him to stick around in the city forever. Kai dips his head silently. He confesses the city is not half bad and he actually plans to chill here for a bit. Maybe even play tourist, yet internally he sweats, knowing an entire army of people is still desperately hunting him down. Suddenly Lifia sits opposite him, wildly flapping her hands in absolutely hilarious, unreadable gestures. Kai tilts his armored head, completely lost. Beside him, Karen mimics the motion, deadpanning. What exactly was that weird signal? Panicking, Lifia frantically waves it off as nothing. Unfazed, Karen bluntly exposes that her sister wanted his helmet off. Lifia screeches her sister's name in pure horror. Karen simply scoffs. You can punish me later, sis, since this is obviously your own fault. She suddenly yanks his arm, declaring that a jealous sister should just confess it. Lifia turns to stone. Jealous, she stammers out, absolutely denying such nonsense. Watching this chaotic sibling duo, our clueless hero awkwardly wonders if the elegant Lady Lifia is acting slightly out of character. Snapping her fiery gaze toward Kai, Karen demands why he rejected her poor sister so harshly. Waving his hands, Kai frantically clarifies, she is gorgeous, noble, and practically a full-grown adult. A stunning lady definitely has a lover, right? Wouldn't this cause a massive misunderstanding? Fidgeting nervously, Lifia admits she receives endless marriage proposals, yet somehow she is still completely single. Genuinely shocked, Kai just awkwardly nods in understanding. Karen heavily sighs. The guys always chicken out, they instantly fall for her, make absolute fools of themselves, and flee in total shame forever. That sounds incredibly tragic, Kai mutters. But honestly, he totally gets it. Acting completely normal around such a breathtaking beauty is practically impossible. Actually, Karen ruthlessly adds, my big sister is incredibly clingy. The closer she tries to get, the more her targets panic and totally run away. A deeply flushed Lifia hides her face, begging her to stop spilling embarrassing secrets. Meanwhile, Kai awkwardly stares at Karen, wondering how she can judge anyone while casually sitting in his lap. Smirking, Karen pats the empty cushion, ordering him to do exactly the same. Why, he asks. Just do it and shut up, she commands flawlessly. Defeated, Kai pats the soft fabric. Instantly, Lifia slides right next to him. See my point, Karen smugly gestures. Blinking innocently, Lifia suddenly reaches out, gently wrapping her warm fingers over his freezing black iron gauntlet. Let us keep chatting like this, Karen playfully suggests. Smiling brightly, Lifia happily agrees to the brilliant idea. Later, outside the Grand Ducal estate, a fancy carriage waits. Lifia beams, gratefully praising his massive help today as a true honor. She sincerely bows, thanking him for sparing his extremely precious time. As a final reward, she offers their noble family crest. Due to complicated aristocratic paperwork, it requires about 3 whole days to process. Once finalized, they promise to personally visit again to properly discuss his new estate management duties. Kai nods in total understanding. Lifting her elegant skirt, Karen gracefully bows, urging him to stay healthy until their next meeting. Kai happily waves back, returning the warm sentiment. Hurry home before your parents panic, he warns. As the luxurious carriage slowly rolls away, our hero cheerfully waves his final goodbye. Staring at the vanishing carriage, he happily mutters that this suffocating helmet can finally come off. Yanking the heavy metal off his handsome, youthful face meets the fresh breeze. Oh man, that feels infinitely better, he dramatically sighs. Rolling down a gorgeous tree-lined path, the carriage bumps along. Inside, Lafia peeks at her little sister, sighing that time totally flew by. Pouting slightly, Karen honestly admits she really wanted to hang out just a bit longer. Blushing, Lafia softly agrees, feeling the exact same lingering regret. Teasingly, Karen asks if his beautiful compliment felt amazing, especially since his polite name-dropping was so incredibly charming. Turning tomato red, Lafia nervously whispers that maybe it really did. She happily confesses that despite his absolutely massive fame, his incredibly generous and humble nature is completely dominating her racing thoughts today. Only a legend like him could possibly deserve Aldi, she wonders. Karen quietly nods, agreeing with that epic assessment. Then Karen strikes. The real reason you wanted to stay was definitely to peek at his hidden face, right? I have literally never seen you act this utterly hopelessly smitten before, she laughs. Defensively, Lafia argues he is her literal savior, plus he might actually be that mysterious hero from the famous clock tower incident. She desperately wanted to witness his true face herself. Don't make that sad puppy face, Karen chuckles. I will totally sketch his handsome mug for you at home. Lafia awkwardly mutters, thanks for the kind thought. Unfortunately, her sister's chaotic artistic skills are completely useless. Giving up, Lafia randomly glances out the moving window. What caught your eye, Karen wonders. Far away, our hero finally stands helmet-free, his strikingly youthful face catching the wind as he exhales in freedom. Lafia completely zones out. Spotting her sister buffering, Karen quickly waves a hand. A dreamy smile creeps onto Lafia's face. She sighs, muttering that the mysterious guy totally played her until the very last second. Karen blinks in utter shock. Was that seriously the same dude from the clock tower? Lafia nods, absolutely dead certain. He is basically a walking saint. Using that ultra-rare healing potion could have gotten him fired or worse, but he did it anyway. Meanwhile, Kai casually remembers Karen. Zero regrets on his end, honestly. Healing her leg, completely, totally worth the hassle. Lafia tells Karen to stop stressing and just live her best life. She is totally trying to wipe out her sister's guilt trip so she will not feel indebted. Lafia swoons, wondering if this is just how overpowered main characters act. Was his dramatic clock tower entrance all for them, like a shadowy guardian angel protecting them from those scrub kidnappers? If so, just how much has this secret hero sacrificed for their sake? Cut to Kai pulling off his chunky helmet and craving a bath. Meanwhile, Lafia's imagination goes wild, her face turning totally tomato red. No clout chasing, zero demands, just a silent lone wolf carrying the whole squad on his back. He is basically the ultimate dreamboat. She is practically vibrating, waiting for their next meeting because she has a million things to tell him. Karen squints at her sister, smirking. She completely looks like a love-struck teenager, Lafia stammers, claiming that since he cares so deeply, she naturally wants to close the gap between them. Cue the sudden panic about their overprotective dad finding out about her massive crush. Tapping her chin, she spirals into deep thought, picturing her father's inevitable absolute meltdown. Kai is way too insanely overpowered to comprehend. How would her dad even process this guy? Golden sunlight hits the tavern street. Inside, the innkeeper sadly folds a rag, looking like a dumped puppy. He sniffs, admitting that losing his favorite weirdo customer actually hits right in the feels. When Kai ghosted the inn last night, he knew this tragic farewell was totally coming. Kai aggressively slices his steak, casually dropping that he is officially moving out. But fear not, he is absolutely returning just to devour their amazing food. Watching Kai vacuum up the meal, the innkeeper chuckles. Does this guy really love the menu that much? Gulping down a huge bite, Kai drops a solid 5-star verbal review. The innkeeper beams his whole week completely made. He happily declares he will always keep a table ready for his VIP foodie. Kai gives a thankful nod. Leaning on the counter, the innkeeper casually asks where our hero is crashing next. If he needs a new sketchy motel, the boss man has plenty of solid hookups. Stabbing another juicy chunk of meat, Kai casually mentions he just scored a whole house. The innkeeper buffers in pure shock. Bought a house, mid-chew Kai sighs, explaining the crazy duke practically shoved the keys down his throat. Apparently those rich guys ripped the city apart, finding the perfect thank you gift. Talk about overkill. The innkeeper sweats profusely. Bro, a literal mansion from a duke is an earth-shattering flex. Kai shrugs. Yeah, sounds like a pretty big deal. The innkeeper rips his hair out. That is not the point at all. Noble mansions are massive status symbols. It is crazy wealth beyond normal peasant comprehension. Basically, the Duke decided befriending Kai was way better than keeping his shiny status symbol. Kai just chews quietly. The boss stares, demanding to know what kind of monster Kai actually is. Kai just shrugs. Just a normal dude. Bam! Kai slams a ridiculously heavy coin pouch onto the table, casually remembering his debt. A little tip for the 5-star hiding spot, free advice, and excellent room service. The innkeeper stares at the bulging bag in absolute horror. By the glorious clinking sound that is straight up solid gold. Kai slides the loot over. Cold, hard cash. He insists the boss totally earned it by saving his neck and dropping top-tier advice. The innkeeper violently rejects it, waving his hands frantically. Accepting that scary money bag feels like a literal death wish. Kai stares helplessly, saying there is zero reason to panic. He admits to being a massive cheapskate. But dragging an innocent civilian into this insane royal drama definitely requires compensation. What royal drama? Kai reminds him about the whole hiding from the Duke situation. The poor boss had been stressing out of his absolute mind. Shaking uncontrollably, the innkeeper cries that he was just doing his basic hospitality job. Kai flashes a grin. Seriously, booking this inn was my best move. Puffing out his chest, the owner smirks. 5-star service, right? Kai simply nods in agreement. The boss instantly sweats bullets. Whoa, it was just a joke. Your deadpan honesty is killing me. You're supposed to cringe or playfully roast me back. Kai just secures his helmet back on. Chuckling, the boss yells, "Come back soon, hero." Kai promises he will before swaggering right out the tavern doors. Checking for peeping toms, the boss unties the payment pouch. His jaw hits the floor. It is absolutely stuffed with blinding gold coins. His brain short-circuits. Who just casually tips an entire dragon's hoard? No normal human flexes like this. And this absolute madman called himself cheap. Meanwhile, at the Holy Church, Nena stretches Mary's cheek like dough. Uncross those legs, you are totally ruining your divine idol image. Stop threatening my fathe, Mary grumbles through squished cheeks. Nina beams at her sister. So this is your true goofy face. Thanks to the miracle panacea, her blind eyes can finally see again. Mary rolls her eyes. Who do you think you are, my mom? How many times are we looping this exact conversation? Exactly 7 times, Nina replies without blinking. Mary glares suspiciously. Are you trolling me right now? Nina avoids eye contact. I would never do such a devious thing. Also, your slang is way too unholy. Seriously, uncross those legs. Your elegant maiden reputation is crying. Slumping back like a lazy cat, Mary groans. Let me slack off. A little lounging never hurt anyone. Sure, public scandal is bad, but I can instantly switch to perfect saint mode when outsiders are watching. She instantly snaps into flawless royal posture. See the holy aura. Nina just gives her a deadpan stare. Mary flinches under the judgment. Stop staring into my soul. Since getting your eyes back, you have become a total drill sergeant. Nina shrugs gracefully. I only preach the cold, hard truth. Besides, your occasional slacking is a daily event. Mary gasps defensively. It is definitely not every single day. It is absolutely a daily streak. Nina shuts her down. Mary defeatedly sighs. Honestly, post-healing Nana is basically a walking sunshine aura. For the past 2 days, she has been thriving with maximum chaotic energy. Nobody had ever seen this hyper version of her. Watching her beam, Mary realizes that mysterious Kai guy truly pulled off an absolute miracle. He rescued her solo, dropped free holy medicine, and casually chugged 3 legendary bottles. Clutching her pendant, Nina swoons. Right, his gorgeous face and pure heart are completely overpowered. He is 100% big sister's type. Mary flashes a teasing smirk. Oh, is he your type too? Nina's face turns tomato red. I just got my vision back. My romantic radar is not even fully installed yet. Leaning on her hand, Mary chuckles. Yeah, right. Your blushing face says otherwise. Anyway, you are way too low level to capture a boss like Kai. Tossing free panaceas, that dude screams absolute Verda energy. If so, prepare to fight hundreds, maybe thousands of crazy fangirl rivals. Steam practically shoots from Nina's ears. My youth is my ultimate weapon, Mary bursts out laughing. Wow, the competitive spirit has awakened. Suddenly, a nun pops her head through the door. Lady Mary, Lady Nena, it is time for your holy shift. Mary flashes a professional smile. We are on it. She taps her sister's shoulder. Quest time, let us move. Shaking off her romantic panic, Nina nods in total agreement. Deep down, both holy sisters secretly prayed to the heavens for another legendary encounter with Kai. Meanwhile, Kai broods intensely in the shadows like a total edgelord. Cut to 3 days later. Mary is melted over a bench, dramatically groaning. Leafia pops up out of nowhere. Busted slacking on the job again. Mary jumps like a startled cat. Leafia, I am not slacking. I am just tactically recharging my holy mana. Long time no see though. Wait, you are definitely not on today's guest list. Sneaking into the VIP rear garden is totally against the rules, you know. Leafia scratches her cheek with an awkward apology. Waving it off, Mary pats the bench. Whatever, just sit down. The two park themselves side by side, giggling like school kids. Mary tilts her head. Did you ditch Karen today, flying solo for once? Nope, Karen is outside, chatting up Nina while she sweeps the courtyard. Mary nods, instantly catching the drift. Ah, if those two are hanging around again, the Duke's family must have finally showered our boy Kai with proper reward money. Chilling on the bench, Leafia mentions she just dropped off her dad's letter to Mary's folks. Now the ball is in their court. Mary lets out a heavy sigh. The long-awaited boss encounter is finally happening. She groans about her little sister being a total fangirl, whining literally every single day just to catch a glimpse of the guy. Leafia gives a defeated shrug. Karen is exactly the same, constantly pestering her about visiting the villa again. It seems the little munchkin finally found a new favorite pillow besides her big sister. Now she is basically a lap koala. Even after getting scolded and nursing a sore backside, she absolutely refuses to unglue herself. Mary chuckles. Does Kai seriously have maxed out charisma? Leafia's eyes soften as she replies that his charm completely breaks the scale. He is basically the ultimate catch. Mary raises an eyebrow at such sky-high praise coming from the usually strict Leafia. With a knowing smile, Leafia promises that one look at him will explain absolutely everything. Mary's gossip radar pings. This is super out of character. She leans in asking if Leafia showered Kai with epic loot last time. Looking a bit bummed out, Leafia admits they are still stuck in the negotiation phase. Mary leans in closer, nudging her friend. Spill the tea anyway, she needs a cheat sheet. The Anachi family is totally lost on what quest reward to offer. They desperately need the Duke's benchmark to avoid dropping a massive social blunder. Leafia's face turns dead serious. This is strictly top-secret classified information. If this leaks, she threatens to expose Mary's embarrassing secrets. Mary violently nods her head in agreement. Cupping her hands over Mary's ear, Leafia drops her voice to a dramatic whisper. They threw a luxury villa and the Duke's shiny family crest at him. Mary's jaw practically hits the floor. Is that seriously it? The guy burned a legendary panacea and saved Karen from the brink. That loot drop is a total scam. Leafia groans in frustration. She totally agrees, but their hands were completely tied back then. Mary scowls, insisting they should have forced more gold on him. But Leafia sighs. The crazy guy did not even ask for a reward and straight up dodged their offers. Mary throws her hands up. That kind of selfless player is a total myth. Leafia gives her a totally deadpan look. Did she not warn her earlier? Kai is a literal god among men. Even her super strict dad admitted it. Leafia feels like a total noob next to him. Mary's eyes bug out. Wait, even the fearsome Duke actually praised him like that. Oh yeah. Lately the Duke has been sweating bullets overthinking every single detail for their next encounter. If his setup is anything less than flawless, he might actually stutter in front of Kai. Mary looks down, sweating slightly. To think that an absolute unit like the Duke finds Kai terrifying to handle. Kai has to be a literal monster. Does Leafia seriously believe this guy is just your friendly neighborhood adventurer? Leafia shivers, recalling her dad's absolute mandate. No one in the family is allowed to trigger his aggro. Ever. Mary strokes her chin in deep thought. So even if Leafia has a crush, she has to play it painfully safe. Plus, if Kai is secretly from Verda, things get wildly messy. His real level might dwarf their noble status completely. Even without knowing the guild's inner workings, a powerhouse like him could literally snap his fingers and get anything. But Leafia actually noticed a hilarious little detail during their chat. The dude was visibly drooling over cold hard cash, way more than their ultra-prestigious family crest. Mary blue screens. That makes zero sense. You can grind for gold, but a Duke's crest is a legendary untradeable item. It is an absolute permanent buff, a total VIP pass respected by literally everyone in the kingdom. Then it hits her. Kai really must be Verda. He probably has the entire empire backing his account. If he already has god-tier backing, treating a noble protection charm like loose change kind of makes sense. But Leafia puts on her rose-tinted glasses. She thinks he just wanted cash to fund his secret superhero charity work. Mary tilts her head like a confused puppy. Leafia explains that a broke person would normally ugly cry over getting a free mansion, and someone dripping in high-tier gear obviously does not need to worry about basic real estate. Mary nods, finally understanding the crazy logic. So her family definitely needs to drop a massive pile of gold. Suddenly, Leafia smirks, teasing that Kai sounds exactly like Mary's ultimate crush. Mary's face erupts into a violent tomato red. She waves her arms, screeching about where Leafia heard such absolute slander. Especially since Nina had been teasing her about the exact same thing, Leafia giggles, praising the little sister's terrifyingly sharp radar. Mary points an accusing finger. She declares Leafia has zero right to laugh when she is radiating obvious hard eyes for him. Mary drops a massive threat. If Leafia plays dumb, she will expose everything directly to Kai. Expose her hopelessly whipped heart. Caught red-handed, Leafia totally panics and aggressively screams Mary's name. Meanwhile, Nina practically skips down the road. She is finally seeing him, and honestly, she is completely losing her mind with excitement. She admits they ran around totally panicked trying to find him. Even with his flashy, impossible-to-miss gear, he somehow vanished like a total ghost. She deeply confesses her terrifying fear that he would get chewed out over the panacea. Karen wags a knowing finger. If Nina acts guilty, Kai is definitely the one who will start scolding her instead. Instead of stressing, Kai would completely want her to grab her new freedom, go wild, and totally enjoy every single thing she missed out on. Nina blinks in pure shock. Did Kai actually say that? A massive wave of relief hits her. She sincerely thanks Karen for magically curing her anxiety. Karen casually adds that Kai absolutely refuses to regret his choice, even if grilled. Honestly, he sounds like a guy who deeply hates boring lectures. She wildly speculates. Maybe he completely went rogue and ignored an order. Or maybe he knew he was untouchable. With his massive stack of heroic merits, the organization would be totally crazy to ever lose a guy like him. Nina touches her flushed cheek. That rebellious attitude sounds exactly like him. He is totally the alpha type who refuses to ever bow his head, especially when his absolute justice is clearly on the line. Snapping back, she eagerly asks if Karen knows how long Kai is actually staying. Karen dramatically spreads her hands. Kai mentioned having unfinished business, so he is sticking around a bit longer. The mysterious guy is seriously busy. Her own sister practically begged him for a thank you dinner, but he instantly rejected it. He claimed his ultimate to-do list was just too massive. Karen completely wonders if he is secretly rescuing civilians or intensely patrolling tonight. Nina ducks her head, hiding a massive smile. She swoons over how his totally badass black armor makes him melt away, doubling his incredible cool factor. Catching that love-struck look, Karen leans in closely. Since Nina is deeply invested, here comes juicy intel. She drops the ultimate bomb. Kai regularly hits the inn for basic lunch. Hearing this, Nina literally shoots up like a frantic rocket. Karen yells from behind, totally flabbergasted. Is she seriously dashing off right now? Face burning red, Nina fiercely denies it like a classic tsundere. She stammers an excuse, claiming she just desperately needs to thank him. Left totally stranded on the bench, Karen hilariously complains. Meanwhile, the legendary Kai casually strolls up and completely stops right outside a loud tavern. Cut to inside, Nina aggressively interrogates the poor innkeeper. The sweating man awkwardly stammers, totally intimidated. Dialing up her absolute boss energy, Nina politely apologizes but fiercely demands he spill the top-secret intel. Breaking into a massive cold sweat, the terrified innkeeper quickly squeaks out Kai's exact arrival time. Lurking right outside Kai, totally sweat drops. Why does the innkeeper sound like he is suffering active torture? He literally just came for a peaceful meal. Unstoppable, Nina aggressively pushes for Kai's usual order. The nervous innkeeper explains there is no set menu since Kai chaotically orders whatever his current mood dictates. Nina fiercely asks what Kai ate most recently. Trembling, the innkeeper points to yesterday's special. Nina gives a firm nod, aggressively ordering the exact same thing. The totally crushed innkeeper frantically agrees. Eavesdropping outside, Kai is utterly baffled. He had zero clue the burly innkeeper could hit a pitch that ridiculously high. Peeking in, he mentally assesses the chaotic duo. One looks gentle, but the other screams major troublemaker. His survival instincts totally scream to ditch lunch today, but completely ignoring them makes him feel like absolute garbage, especially since she actually helped him out once. Bracing for total awkwardness, he finally pushes the door. He desperately hopes arriving crowds will magically shatter this insanely tense atmosphere. His master plan: play dumb, act completely clueless, and flawlessly dodge this rapidly approaching hurricane of trouble. But naturally, his luck is absolute trash. Why did everything go horrifyingly quiet at the absolute worst moment? A strict guard barks at Nina to fix her messy posture. Blushing like a tomato, Nina frantically squeaks her understanding. The tortured innkeeper intensely stares at Kai with ridiculously dramatic tears of absolute gratitude. Totally lost, Kai awkwardly clears his throat and just asks for food. Turning into a complete nervous wreck, Nina shyly peeks up and shakily asks if he actually remembers her. Flashing his signature cool aura, Kai smoothly replies yes. He genuinely adds that he is incredibly relieved she is totally safe. Clinging to her pendant like a lifeline, Nina completely melts, thrilled to see him totally healthy. Kai spots the terrified innkeeper cowering behind a door, then coolly addresses the guard. He completely understands the poor man has incredibly rigid duties and a serious status to maintain. Playing the ultimate peacemaker, he asks the guard to ignore the earlier chaos simply because Nina herself requested total silence. The massive bodyguard bows, deeply apologizing for his earlier rudeness. The terrified innkeeper frantically waves his hands, sweating buckets. He stammers out that he should be bowing in gratitude instead. Kai blinks at Nina's complete transformation, especially her new outfit. He admits he totally missed who she was at first glance. Twirling in her nun's habit, Nina happily asks if the holy look suits her. Kai chuckles, saying she will pull it off perfectly once she grows up a bit. Nina beams with a radiant smile. Staring at her holy robes, Kai admits he never expected her church affiliation. Pointing to his eyes, he asks how her vision has been lately. Taking in her bright and bubbly aura, Kai smiles, realizing she has completely healed. He gently sighs in absolute relief. Blushing softly, Nina whispers that she has never felt this happy in her entire life. She confesses that back then, even her own family's faces were just blurry shadows. Kai sweat drops, playfully scolding her for dropping such heavy angst. Flustered Nina quickly apologizes. Kai tells her to keep her chin up and enjoy her bright future, otherwise wasting that legendary medicine would be a total scam. Nina nods enthusiastically, promising to live her best life. The innkeeper finally rushes over with their food, nervously apologizing for the wait. Nina cheerfully declares she came all this way just to share the exact same menu as her savior. Kai chuckles at her unexpected foodie passion. Nina vigorously nods in absolute agreement. Kai laughs, offering to let him and the massive guard demolish any leftovers she cannot finish. Nina smiles brightly in thanks. Kai asks if she has a strict curfew outside the church. It would be a total tragedy to let this godly food get cold. Clasping her hands in prayer, Nina happily announces that it is time to dig in. The moment the food hits her tongue, her eyes sparkle like stars at the heavenly taste. Kai puffs out his chest, proudly bragging about his top-tier restaurant choice. Annoyed, the innkeeper mutters why Kai is taking credit for his cooking. Kai whines, complaining that his own plate looks completely tossed together by comparison. But he decides to let it slide, considering the poor innkeeper almost had a heart attack earlier. Nina giggles at their comedic banter, calling them besties. Kai shrugs, admitting their bond is decently tolerable. The innkeeper rolls his eyes, complaining that this mysterious slacker never actually reveals his true identity. He grumbles that if he knew Kai was this complicated, he would have run for the hills to save his sanity. Kai internally panics, realizing this big-mouthed cook just overstepped. Sweating, Kai begs the terrifying guard to hit the delete button on his memory. The stoic giant agrees, as long as his lady remains pleased. Flashing a holy smile, Nina assures them she is practically a saint today. The shivering innkeeper practically begs for his life, while Kai struggles to hold back his laughter. The cook snaps back that normal humans fear death, and Kai is the real freak here. Nina turns serious, asking to lock in a formal schedule. She desperately wants to visit him properly before her curfew strikes, offering her grandest thanks. She politely insists on setting a strict VIP appointment to show her endless gratitude. The second those words drop, Jet Black turns into a literal ice statue. Beneath the mask, his eyes bulge out in pure shock, his brain completely blue-screening in total panic. Sensing the heavy boss-level tension, the innkeeper awkwardly moonwalks away from the table to save his own skin. Flustered and sweating, Kai stammers, asking if she seriously expects him to casually stroll into the great cathedral. Nina furiously shakes her head. She insists her entire entourage will obviously invade his private estate instead. Jet Black chokes, realizing this tiny nun has basically doxed his secret hideout. Nina lowers her head, offering a profound apology if she crossed the line. Behind his helmet, Kai is violently internally screaming. He frantically questions how the church's intelligence network pinpointed a villa he literally just unlocked. Sweating bullets, Kai plays it cool, telling her to visit on the weekend since his weekday quest log is totally full. Nina nods like a saint brilliantly, suggesting they crash his place next Sunday precisely at high noon. He agrees nervously, asking about the guest list. Nina casually lists her father, mother, terrifying sister, and an army of guards. That apocalyptic answer instantly destroys his soul. Trembling under his armor, cold sweat drenches him. Her family's absolute power level is entirely off the charts. Desperate to survive, he tries to negotiate the VIP list. He bluntly begs her to ban her ultra-scary parents from the party. She completely freezes. He waves his hands frantically. No stiff formal visits. He absolutely refuses to attract any more unwanted spotlights. The innkeeper snorts deadpan, rich coming from a guy glued to full black armor. Kai mentally screams, "Cut a guy some slack, old man." Kai pushes on smoothly. Nina's parents should totally prioritize their duties. A disaster striking while they visit, hard pass. Nina still wavers, but he insists. We can trade our polite thank yous perfectly fine without her parents hovering. He shudders dramatically. High-ranking nobles genuinely terrify him. Meeting them is his absolute worst nightmare. Nina squints suspiciously. Does he really doubt her sister can handle things alone? He violently shakes his head no. The masked guard smoothly interrupts. Deal-sealed Kai practically begs her to relay this exact verdict to the higher-ups. She nods coolly. That was her game plan all along. Honestly, this setup is a massive lifesaver. Kai blinks in silent disbelief. For once in his cursed life, a plan actually worked perfectly. Plates cleared Nina, and her bodyguard finally stand up. Nena bows gracefully, promising an eager reunion soon. Kai offers a stiff goodbye wave, watching their retreating backs. The bell chimes, door shuts. Bam! Kai instantly deflates like a popped balloon. He face palms, groaning, a soul-crushing sigh. The innkeeper marches back with fresh plates. Are you seriously playing the exhaustion card right now? Kai whines. Any sane person would be totally drained after surviving that terrifying squad. The boss smirks. Hilarious, especially from the dude just chatting up Lady Nena like they were casual besties. Kai surrenders the argument. Fine, they are both exhausted. The innkeeper squints, admitting he always knew Kai was secretly crazy special, but a total big shot, casually rubbing shoulders with the mighty holy church mind blown. Kai cries internally. If only that were true, his survival rate would definitely skyrocket. Spotting Kai's 1,000-yard stare, the old man chuckles. You can drop the helpless act around me, kid. Kai pauses, deeply touched. The best part, the old man still treats him like the exact same regular customer. The innkeeper shrugs casually. Keeping things perfectly normal is definitely a win-win for both sides. Kai beams gratefully. It is a massive relief. The boss then nervously jokes, just promise no divine smitings for my sass. Kai laughs awkwardly. Absolutely no punishing. He is way too far down the food chain to even complain about disrespect anyway. He shivers, recalling Nina's bodyguard. That woman radiated pure, terrifying, elite monster energy. The innkeeper vigorously nods. Holy guards are practically walking legendary weapons, so obviously her personal shield would be an absolute powerhouse. Sipping his drink, Kai groans. Piecing the clues together, it seems his secret identity is already public knowledge everywhere. A tiny heads up would have been incredibly nice, honestly. The innkeeper explodes in panic. Tell me next time I nearly had a heart attack. Kai bows in rapid apology. Still, the old man admits they were surprisingly merciful. Kai blinks in confusion. Merciful, they completely skipped the usual arrogant, noble death threats. They actually used polite words, a total shocker really. While Kai awkwardly hijacked Nina's precious free schedule, that guard still flawlessly managed her elite lunch routine. In hindsight, their intense glares were totally justified. That masked woman's terrifying aura still haunts him. The innkeeper nods wisely. That's strict, scary discipline. That is pure, hardcore loyalty in action. Kai winces sympathetically. Middle management bodyguard duty sounds like an absolute nightmare of endless stress. Serving the ultra-powerful is just a universal ticket to suffering, right? And sadly, Kai knows that painful corporate struggle way too well. The innkeeper gossips. Rumor says Kai heroically lectured everyone about public image and deep political status. Kai sweats profusely. Total lie. He just spouted random cool-sounding nonsense to desperately save his own skin. The old man laughs harder. See, only a true untouchable boss casually ignores high society rules. Are you secretly outranking the Pope? The boss gasps. Kai waves his arms frantically. No way, he is absolute bottom tier. He is practically an ant compared to those glittering divine elites. Their shiny world is terrifying. The innkeeper just chuckles, ending the chat. Enough, the man declared forcefully. Shutting down the conversation, Kai desperately begged to explain himself, but internally, he was screaming in absolute defeat. The snowball of chaotic misunderstandings was miraculously getting bigger, completely escaping his control. Meanwhile, inside the rolling carriage, the masked bodyguard turned to Lady Nena. She felt genuinely relieved to have finally survived the legendary Kai. A gentle blush crossed Nina's cheeks. She softly confessed her secret wish to just share a warm meal at Kai's table. Still, a radiant smile bloomed on her face. That brief moment alone brought her absolute joy. May I ask a question? Nena wondered aloud, curious about her escort's impression of Kai. The bodyguard's answer was dead serious. He is an unfathomably powerful monster. Nina giggled softly. She meant his true personality, not his terrifying combat strength. The guard bowed her head in shame. She had been sweating under Kai's suffocating aura, leaving absolutely zero room for casual observation. Nena gasped in pure shock, softly echoing those heavy words under her breath. Dining usually makes people drop their guard, the escort explained. She fully believed Kai was silently testing her absolute vigilance during the meal. The tense bodyguard then discussed her sacred duty protecting Lady Nena. Having previously allowed Nina's kidnapping was a crushing disgrace. Failing to sense Kai's approach on top of that, an unforgivable sin in her eyes. Even while chatting with the innocent shopkeeper, she claimed her senses remained sharp as a drawn blade. Nina tilted her head, wondering if Kai's natural presence was just remarkably completely unnoticeable. Impossible, the guard completely rejected the idea. It was a terrifying gap in pure skill. Still, she bowed respectfully, thanking Nina for her sweet concern. The paranoid escort then dropped a bombshell. What if Kai had perfectly orchestrated her minor clash with the shopkeeper? The masterfully executed timing, the flawless flow of events. To her, this was definitely no mere coincidence. Nina sat speechless as the crazy theories escalated. Either Kai predicted their exact end, or he possessed a godlike eye for reading the battlefield. She confessed that Kai's cryptic words were haunting her mind. This alarming intelligence absolutely had to be reported to Nena's father immediately. You mean his comment about rejecting our gratitude? Nina asked. The escort nodded sharply, glad her lady had caught that suspicious detail. A commoner in Kai's shoes would aggressively milk this golden ticket to meet powerful nobles. Why throw away such a massive, life-changing favor? His claim about hating the spotlight, the escort totally believed it was a genius-calculated smokescreen. Nina completely agreed with that wild but logical explanation. Normal people sweat when rejecting powerful nobles, yet Kai handled Nina with terrifying smoothness, completely destroying his own flimsy excuse. Plus, dangerous underground rumors were already linking this mysterious guy to Vertar. He was clearly a hidden mastermind used to juggling powerful aristocrats. A suffocating silence fell. Reluctantly, Nena whispered a terrifying theory. A massive conspiracy must be brewing at the Great Cathedral. She wasn't entirely certain, though. But knowing the Great Kai, his cryptic warning definitely held world-shaking importance. He was way too profound to sweat over trivial matters. The paranoid escort firmly agreed. They absolutely needed an emergency war council with Nena's father. Apologizing, she ordered the driver to floor it. Nena nodded firmly as the carriage rocketed down the street. Later, at the luxurious mansion, Nina's older sister sat beside her, dropping a hilariously nervous comment. Earning a personal request from him was a massive deal. Blushing furiously, she stammered that Kai seriously possessed impeccably handsome taste. Nina immediately caught the violently shaking voice. She quietly pointed out that her poor sister's legs were literally trembling like jelly. Red-faced, the sister babbled wildly. She just never expected him to boldly ban their wealthy parents from arriving to grovel with gratitude. She confessed the terrifying rumors swirling around Vertar had everyone completely on edge. Because of that, she totally understood the absolutely crushing pressure he must be enduring. Nena patted her gently warmly, reassuring her sister that Kai was actually an incredibly sweet guy. He was supposedly as ridiculously generous as her sister, therefore approaching him with her totally normal, unfiltered personality should be completely fine. Nina cheerfully agreed that her casual approach was flawless. But the older sister violently recoiled in sheer panic. Confused Nina argued that being genuine was simply a million times easier. Her sister frantically countered that only highly polished personas secure good impressions. Deep down, she knew heavily refined acting won ultimate admiration. Nena smiled warmly, declaring she honestly preferred her sister's unpolished self. Touched to tears, the sister deeply embraced those sweet words. Chatting further, she found herself completely awestruck by Kai's supposedly god-tier intellect. He somehow instantly detected the inn's suspicious atmosphere. He was constantly playing four-dimensional chess, flawlessly staying one massive step ahead. Judging by his frantic schedule, she fully believed this mastermind was secretly investigating massive conspiracies in the deep shadows. Nina absolutely baffles over his insane info-gathering skills. Her sister swiftly shuts that down. To her, some ultra-classified secrets are definitely better left completely untouched. She aggressively warns that if they poke the bear, this terrifying guy might flag them as mortal enemies. Even worse, he might just decide they are way too annoying and coldly ghost them for good. Shivering at the dark thought, she realizes the brutal truth. Kai is an absolute logic-defying monster from every angle. Cue the intense paranoia. He could literally be eavesdropping on their top-secret chat right now. Nina nervously waves off that crazy theory. With elite guards heavily patrolling outside, ninja-level snooping is totally impossible. Cue the horror movie timing. Eerie footsteps suddenly echo straight from the ceiling. The spooky noise comes directly from above. Nina completely freezes up and squeaks out to her sister. Sweating bullets, sis forces a plastic smile. She awkwardly stammers that it must be a stray roof cat just like that one weird time. Yeah, sure, just a roof cat. But Nina's inner alarm bells keep ringing. With this crazy, suspenseful timing, the whole setup feels wildly suspicious. Still, her blushing mind wanders back to Kai. Deep down, the overpowered freak is actually super sweet. A cute delusion hits her. Maybe he is secretly playing guardian angel from the dark shadows. Reality check. Remembering the heavy gate security totally shatters her romantic guardian fantasy, leaving her speechless. Soon enough, the fateful promised day finally arrives. Kai hits up his favorite tavern again. The boss drops his jaw, totally shocked by our hero's insanely chill vibe on such a massive day. Any normal dude would be absolutely panicking, mentally rehearsing this massive meeting on a dizzying loop. Flashing a knowing smirk, our main character simply shrugs it off and casually praises the delicious grub. But internally, he desperately braces for impact. The Holy Church's terrifying big-shot onsage family is literally knocking today. Small victories. At least he successfully dodged the ultimate boss fight by blocking Nina's scary parents. Mental prep flawless. Meeting simulation. Perfectly complete. Yet a single nagging detail still glitches inside his brilliant mastermind plan. The actual final boss, surviving a direct super awkward chat with Nina's fiercely protective older sister, his brilliant lazy comfort solution, just throw Nina under the bus if things get spicy. He smugly pats his own genius back. Scratching his head, he confesses the real reason he crashed the tavern on D-Day. A totally bizarre dilemma is currently haunting his brilliant mind. The boss raises a curious eyebrow, instantly sensing our hero's wildly comical brooding energy. Kai starts venting. The other day, Duke Diego literally forced a live-in maid to suddenly manage his massive mansion. But instead of loyal service, this robotic Ice Queen maid treats him like a plague. Her massive emotional distance makes the house feel super depressing. The boss crosses his arms and drops a massive truth bomb. Honestly, he deeply pities the poor maid. Babysitting a completely overpowered weirdo sounds like an absolute nightmare of a job. Critical hit. Kai stares blankly into the void, realizing this tavern boss has absolutely zero sympathy left after that brutal scolding from Nina's bodyguard. Swiftly changing the awkward subject, he looks around and points out the booming tavern is suddenly packed with extra staff. The boss beams with golden retriever energy, cheerfully crediting our clueless main character for the sudden gold rush. Thanks to their VIP visits, wild rumors quickly spread through town. Now every obsessed fan demands to eat Lady Nina's exact legendary menu. Kai massively sweat drops, realizing Nina's crazy idol-level popularity is actually a terrifyingly real thing. The boss chuckles warmly. With her restored sight and goddess-tier visuals, drawing a massive fan army in public was totally guaranteed. Kai silently nods in agreement. Even as a rookie, her devastatingly pretty looks are screaming future legendary beauty. Suddenly, a giant light bulb flashes. The boss has some incredibly spicy bonus gossip for his favorite regular. Did he hear the juicy rumor? A wild rogue cult just miraculously spawned boldly, challenging the almighty Holy Church to a massive turf war. Kai's big brain connects the dots. This world-shaking drama is exactly the epic intel his informant secretly lined up. This is absolutely huge. Playing completely dumb, our cunning hero casually asks if some random customer spilled this epic tea. Yup, the tavern is constantly buzzing with wild conspiracy theories about corrupt archbishops doing hilariously villainous deeds. Salty trolls are literally brainwashing believers to shatter church harmony. This toxic smear campaign is ruthlessly designed to nuke the Onsage family's holy influence. Kai sighs heavily. Sitting on the throne of power sounds like an absolute headache of endless dramatic side quests and messy scandals. The boss slyly winks. With Kai's legendary mastermind vibe, he was definitely already 10 steps ahead of this basic street gossip. Smirking like a total boss, Kai boldly challenges him. What if he actually played the clueless rookie card today? The boss laughs out loud. He would have just dropped classic vague NPC dialogue and completely minded his own business. Kai tilts his head in utter confusion. What is that supposed to mean? He asks, brushing off the wild rumor. The Holy Church should easily crush a bug like this. He smirks behind his helmet. Those greedy priests aren't the type to just sit around doing nothing. They'd never let their shiny reputation hit the dirt without a fight. The shopkeeper sighs deeply. I'd love to believe your optimism, kid, but this situation sounds like a total disaster. For a random rumor that popped out of nowhere, it's snowballing way too fast, he points out grimly. Kai just waves a dismissive hand. Relax, it will all work out. The Holy Church still has enough ridiculous power and clout to carry the day. The innkeeper narrows his eyes suspiciously. Wait, are you already pulling the strings behind all this nonsense yourself? Kai frantically denies it, but the old man keeps staring. Hey, what is up with that shady look? Kai demands. The shopkeeper snorts loudly. I absolutely refuse to buy your innocent protagonist act. Cue the awkward sweat drop. Kai chuckles nervously, admitting he still scored some juicy intel. He mentally notes to interrogate Nina later to see what secrets she is hiding. Smart move, the shopkeeper nods. High society snobs like them are way more likely to spill the tea to a guy like you than a lowly bartender. They don't trust my face, he grumbles. Kai ignores his pity party, slapping the counter. Great, today's bill is 10,000 regal, including my special information fee. Are you out of your mind? The innkeeper explodes. You greedy punk, I only repeated basic gossip you definitely already knew. He coughs awkwardly. Besides, since you brought Lady Nina to my shop, your meals are completely on the house anyway. Kai's jaw drops to the floor. Wait, seriously, the shopkeeper flashes a sudden blindingly warm smile. Don't be a stranger, kid, come back anytime. You're a lifesaver, Kai beams, practically skipping out the door. He mentally pats his own back. Just as the old saying goes, being the good guy literally pays off. Fast forward to Nina's visit. The ever-stoic maid is waiting to greet him. She stares at his ridiculous metal getup. Do you truly need to wear full armor to meet noble ladies? Kai shrugs defensively. Hey, you never know when an assassin might pop out. The maid deadpans perfectly. Please. Even if a sudden deathmatch broke out, rumor says you punch way harder with your bare hands anyway. Kai instantly freezes. Wait, hold up. Where exactly did you get that highly confidential intel? Unfazed, the maid replies that Lord Dotit totally spilled the beans. She smoothly assures him that the gossip is an exclusive internal leak, so his overpowered secret is safe. Kai lets out a massive internal sigh of relief. Thank goodness he kept this clunky helmet on, or else everyone would see him sweating bullets. Still, a shiver runs down his spine. He admits this poker-faced maid is slowly turning into a terrifying final boss. Desperate to change the subject, Kai awkwardly clears his throat. So, are you going to be the VIP tour guide for Nina's party today? She gives a flawless professional bow. Leave the heavy lifting to me. Where shall I drag our esteemed guests first? Kai cries dramatic internal tears. Why does she always put him on the spot? Panicking, he blindly suggests tossing them into the study or the drawing room. The maid gives a blank nod of approval, so Kai quickly locks in his final answer, the study. Watching her flawless posture, Kai turns green with envy over her absolute chill. But then the headache-inducing topic of Nina's massive security detail suddenly pops up. The royal bodyguards will definitely barge in with Lady Nena, the maid states bluntly. How do you want to handle those muscleheads? Kai rubs his chin thoughtfully. Let's definitely park them outside the study. I'd really rather not host a stressful meeting with a dozen buff dudes glaring at my neck. The maid nods, confirming that perfectly acceptable plan. Kai carelessly waves a hand. Honestly, just let the guards roam free and do whatever, they're definitely going to die of boredom anyway. The maid's perfect poker face actually cracks. Are you absolutely sure? She gasps. Kai blinks in utter confusion. Wait, is that a problem? She quickly regains her ultimate composure. Not at all. If the master is perfectly fine with it, there is absolutely no issue. Kai squints through his visor. Seeing the unflappable maid look rattled gives him major anxiety. He prays it isn't a massive disaster flag. While killing time before the noble sisters show up, Kai excitedly brings up the fancy snacks Karen dropped off when delivering the seal. Hey, do you think those legendary sweets were actually tasty? The maid visibly stumbles, caught completely off guard. Excuse me, she asks, before quickly regaining her chill and agreeing that serving them is a perfectly fine idea. Right, Kai beams happily. By the way, how much does a box of those cookies cost? I totally want to buy a stash for myself. The maid taps her chin. I don't have the exact receipt, but a single box runs for roughly 50,000 regal. Critical hit. Kai's soul practically leaves his body. He stares blindly, paralyzed by the thought of 50,000 regal burned on some sugar. Sweating and trembling, he points a shaky finger. Then what about that shiny gem ring I was given? The maid shrugs with terrifying nonchalance. Hard to say exactly, but the street value is easily between 5 and 10 million regal. Kai's brain officially blue screens into absolute horrifying silence. Misreading his total catatonia, the maid tilts her head. Is the loot too cheap? I can totally shake down the Duke for more cash if you want. No, no, no. Kai frantically waves his arms. It is absolutely nothing like that. He screams that casually tossing out millions of regal is sheer insanity. As he pants for breath, he stares at the ceiling, crying anime tears while wondering if his face really screams greedy scammer. Waving her hands, the maid promises Lord Diego only wanted instant updates on any sudden trouble. Kai chuckles, thinking the poor lord practically lives in a state of constant panic. She insists it is just standard noble honor. Suddenly, Kai flips the script, asking what she personally desires. Blinking in sheer confusion, she listens as he casually insists on returning her everyday kindness. Panicking mildly, she protests. She is just a humble employee, already drowning in Lord Diego's generous paychecks. Closing the distance, Kai laughingly tells her to loosen up. What does she actually crave? Fidgeting nervously, the maid shyly whispers her absolute love for sugary treats. Kai beams brightly. Sweets are a total breeze, promising to bring her an absolute mountain next time. Bowing gratefully, she accepts. He casually heads to his study, leaving the incoming guest protocol entirely in her capable hands. Nodding dutifully, she watches his retreating back, instantly plotting to report this bizarre kindness to Lord Diego. Honestly, his insanely laid-back and shockingly blunt attitude screams absolute powerhouse energy. Soon enough, the highly anticipated royal visit officially kicks off. Bowing perfectly, the maid graciously welcomes Lady Marie and Lady Nena to the chaotic estate. Escorting the VIPs, Nina's fierce bodyguard expresses total shock at finding the maid still employed here. The maid confesses her fear of being fired, praising the mysterious master for mercifully keeping her around. The battle-hardened guard repeats this revelation in utter disbelief. A god-tier master like Kai could have easily hired an elite supermaid instead of her. Without ever meeting his past legendary servants, she hilariously admits she cannot even fathom how terribly she falls short. The guard bluntly steers the gossip back to Kai. The maid nervously laughs, realizing they are spiraling into endless tangents. Nodding solemnly, they both completely agree. Kai is an absolute enigma wrapped in terrifying mysteries. Poking the sleeping dragon is strictly forbidden for anyone caught in his terrifying orbit. Striding down the hall, the guard shudders, imagining the sheer anxiety of serving such an unfathomable boss. The maid whispers her ultimate flex. Even the mighty Lord Diego bowed his head to this terrifying master. Shockingly, the estate lacks any security. Kai boldly declared that pathetic guards were utterly useless here. His legendary excuse, too many meat shields, simply ruin the house's vibe. A passing servant gasps in horror, but the maid solemnly nods, confirming his insanely arrogant flex. The guard's eyes widen. She assumes this means the absolute madman is daring assassins to strike. He absolutely possesses the monstrous power to crush them. The maid eagerly agrees his terrifying aura guarantees perfect safety. Chuckling nervously, the warrior warns the poor maid not to develop stress-induced ulcers from his oppressive presence. Suddenly, turning completely serious, the bodyguard kills the comedy to double-check one extremely vital mission detail. Are they seriously allowed to just goof off while Lady Nina and Lady Marie face the mysterious master? The maid nods firmly. Those were his exact, mind-bogglingly casual orders. Sweating bullets, the guard begs for a translation. What hidden traps lie beneath his terrifyingly vague instructions? Coughing politely, the maid refuses to guarantee anything but boldly offers her own outrageously overthought theory. There is absolutely no way this god-tier master wants them lazily napping in his deadly domain. His words hold a deeper test. Abandoning Lady Nina's defense is obviously a fatal rookie mistake he would ruthlessly punish. Trapping elite guards in a stuffy waiting room totally destroys their reaction speed during a surprise ambush. His seemingly lazy command to just do whatever they wanted was actually a terrifying mental test of their supreme combat instincts. Mind absolutely blown, the guard realizes the brutal truth. This absolute monster does not need their pathetic protection. Wrong, the maid dramatically counters. The Grandmaster simply demands they stop leeching off his overwhelming god-level strength. He is ruthlessly teaching them independence. His protective aura will not baby them forever. To truly protect their beloved lady's smiles, they must forge their own unyielding warrior mindset from scratch. Blushing, she admits this is just fan theory speculation, but it totally fits his impossibly cool mastermind persona. The guard bows deeply in ultimate respect. Meanwhile, the allegedly genius master sits utterly clueless in his study, completely lost. Internally, he groans in sheer frustration. He is literally just telling these people to chill out and relax. So why on earth does everyone treat his casual words like some profound secret prophecy? Was he accidentally rude? Absolutely not. He quickly concludes that these guys are just acting completely weird. Finally, Nena and Marie take their seats opposite him. Marie nervously apologizes, begging to ask just one question. She stammers out a request, desperate to know exactly how she should adjust her behavior around his presence. Kai just blinks in utter bewilderment. What is she even saying? Nina seriously nods in agreement with her sister, which honestly just makes his headache infinitely worse. He screams internally. What in the world is Marie even rambling about? He shoots Nina a look of pure, silent desperation. What on earth is he supposed to do here? By the end, he is mentally begging for literally anyone to save him.